You're welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform. And here on Newsfile, we put Ghana first. And on a very brief Samson stake, the OSP crippled. Supreme Court must act fast. For a country that loses, is unable to account for over $3 billion each year. For a country whose Auditor General reports almost every year billions stolen by public officials, the fight against corruption must never be slowed. From the decision of the High Court in the Hyde Quo Warranto, order, there's been a grip. The outcome is a price we are paying. In the course of this week only, in the MPA case, there are 10 accused persons in that case. Defense lawyers were in the court, waiving the Hyde Quo Warranto orders before the trial court. Of course, what they were seeking, essentially, was for their clients to be discharged, freed, because the OSP has been stripped of its prosecutorial powers. The judge rather adjourned to await the OSP stay of execution application on the back of its appeal of the decision. Then the next day, in a different courtroom, lawyers for the PPA boss, the former PPA boss who was sacked by President Akufo-Addo, a similar experience was witnessed. Of course, it is expected, because if I were a lawyer representing any of the accused persons, I would be expected to do the same thing. There too, the judge decided to adjourn. In Tamale, there was supposed to be a judgment in the NDA case. The judge said his judgment was not ready. We know why he did that. It wasn't because his judgment was actually not ready. So the OSP is crippled in prosecuting its 12 high-profile cases, corruption cases, until the Supreme Court decides the Noah Adamte case. But the occupant of the office had this prophecy.
The attempt to scrap the office of the special prosecutor last year is not dead. And this is a charge I'm giving to civil society. It is not dead. It is live. But we should not depend on the goodness of the president to say, withdraw it from parliament. Rather, we should build this institution for the ages, an institution which stands the test of time. I was approached in respect of how to reform, and a lot of the talk I heard was revolving around me. And I told these well-meaning people that do not make proposals because of my nature. Some may see me as good, some may see me as evil. But do not turn legal provisions around my traits and characteristics. And the same way I'm saying, do not let this office's existence depend on the fact that the president wants it to operate, as we saw in December 2025. Secure it, bound it up, board it up well. And now we have a glorious opportunity with the constitution review process. Let it be stamped in it. And we are gratified that the committee, the Constitution Review Committee, put such a proposal in it. Let it be well founded in it. Let it be well clad, so that the next special prosecutor will not spend so much of his time fighting for survival of the office, fighting for survival of his position. It has been most unfair. It has not been for the best.
In a land we love, where justice must stand, there arises a voice to cleanse the land. Not by might, not by fear, but by truth, that makes all things clear. The Office of the Special Prosecutor leads the way, fighting corruption day by day. From hidden deals to stolen gain, they rise to break corruption's chain. When others fear, they dare to act, with law, with strength, with truth intact, to seek, to find, to bring to light the wrongs which are concealed in the darkest night. Yet no institution stands above tests. Perfection belongs to none at best. So when it falters, we must speak, not to tear down, but to make it strong and just and not weak. For truth demands both voices and sides, to praise what is right and correct what is not right. Constructive hearts, courageous and fair, will build a system we all must share. But they cannot stand alone. This fight is ours, it must be owned. For every silence and every excuse gives corruption space and use. So speak, report, refuse the wrong. Stand for justice, firm and strong. Support the work, uphold the call. For when justice rises, it lifts us all. Let truth prevail, let courage grow. Let every Ghanaian rise and know a better nation we can be if we stand for truth and keep it free. Support the OSP, but hold it true. For stronger systems depend on me and you. Thank you.
Kweku Obing Latte of the GIZ, that's the German Development Cooperation Agency here in Accra, and that's almost about a month ago that the two of them were speaking at a forum, and the OSP has 130 cases that it is pursuing. We hope that it is able to continue, even though its prosecutorial authority now is in limbo. This is the Germans who are tooling up that office. Until 2023, that office was just an empty shell, and now it is being tooled up. They are the ones building a forensic lab for them, and as I mentioned to you last week, the equipment for that lab, they're getting it from the Germans. It's sitting there in Germany because the Ghanaian government, the finance ministry, has refused to approve a waiver on tax for those equipment to be brought. That is historic. Never happened before. This is my take. We'll be right back. So the South African Ministry for Police, or whatever they call it, has issued a statement and says that it will deal with the perpetrators. Let's find out if there's sincerity in that. Because you see that lady, she is very well known. She and her group, they are so well known. They cannot escape the police in South Africa, but they are able to freeze police activity and to walk into hospitals and attack fellow Africans, Nigerians, Ghanaians, Zimbabweans. They just attack anyone who is not South African. What they do, quite curiously, is that once the color of your skin is not black, you escape. If you have, you are black, you are in trouble. You are dark, you are in trouble. Over a period since 2022 to 2024, we have had about 255 incidents of xenophobic attacks in South Africa. This has resulted in some 57 deaths. Over 6,000 people have been displaced as a result of that. And guess what they do? You know, our women and our guys command the hair business, saloon business in that country. They attack them, they take their television sets, they take all their stuff. So it's not really exactly the case that they want them to leave their country. They loot them. Some 810 shops have been looted in the course of the period I'm talking about, 2022 to 2024. In 2022, you have as many as 110 incidents, xenophobic attacks. In 2023, there were 62 of them. In 2024, there were 83 of these attacks. And they've been violent, particularly in KwaZulu-Natal, Gauteng, Western Cape, Eastern Cape, not that, Limpopo. They happen all over the places, but particularly in KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng. It's terrible, terrible, very, very violent in nature. So why is this continuing in South Africa? And is it enough for our Foreign Affairs Minister to summon the ambassador and demand assurances for protection for Ghanaians? Let's begin right here in the studio, and we are excited to be joined this morning by Kwame Boafo Akufu, Esquire of Ekropong Ekwapim. For this subject, we also have Engineer Kenneth Ashigbe, who is convener, Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey. We will have Charles Asieko Oredu, his MP, Ebrim, and former High Commissioner of Ghana to South Africa. We also have Benjamin Kofi Kwashi, who is Ghana's High Commissioner to South Africa, joining us. But first, let's begin by listening to the Foreign Affairs Minister, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa.
I'm here with a traveling document.
That Africa's full potential will be realized. As our founder, the Osagefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah said, in this modern era, we will see such hatred, such xenophobia against each other, against Africans. It is totally unacceptable. It is condemnable, and we will do everything as a government to protect our nationals and to make sure that we demand from the South African government to protect our citizens and to keep them safe, because they owe them that duty of care. Just as we will continue to make sure that all South Africans living in Ghana are safe, are protected, and we will not encourage any reprisal attack. We will condemn it, and we will not even contemplate it. And we know that Ghanaians are very welcoming, very hospitable, very peace-loving people, and they will not do that.
And you would know that he's here this morning because of the Galamsey matter that will be big on this morning's discussion. But we want to hear briefly from him and also from Kwame Akufu, who will help us to discuss the agitations in respect of the Bogoso Prestea mine revival. Yes, Doc.
Thank you very much, Samson, and good morning to all of us, our viewers, our listeners, and to Kwame, my long-lost friend. Good to see you. It's really a sad day for Africa, and it continues this particular practice. You see it. It's so sad. So the situation where the group of people that Ghana, actually paid money for, to take them out of apartheid when it was being applied onto blacks by whites. A country where Ghana provided refuge for them to come into Ghana now becomes the people who now take apartheid on black people. So they would treat white people better than they would treat, their fellow black people. And it is so sad.
But they hold only 10% of the economy.
Well,
the whites are in charge, really.
Well, that's true. And so what you would have thought is that how do we galvanize ourselves, to be able to increase the percentage of the economy that we have. and also realize that the whole issues of, these borders that we have across Africa are imaginary, are an imposition by, the whites when they met in somewhere in Europe to draw those lines for Africa. And so, for me, the problem about all of this, and again, you made the point, is that those people who are perpetuating this carnage are known. And so when you have, governments who, because they themselves are beginning to lose power, now want to play, to this populism, it's really, really sad. Really, really sad. And it's important that, beyond what the foreign minister would do with the ambassadors, the president also needs, to be speaking to the president of South Africa. AU needs to be convening, to say that this cannot be happening. This is just another example of the way we retrogress as a continent. So you'll be wondering why the likes of Mandela and Kwame Nkrumah, and all of those who are involved in the struggle then will be turning in their graves. So it is really important.
When you go to Cape Town, and you definitely will not miss Robben Island.
Right.
When you go through, and they take you through, the story is not complete when they tell it. And Robben Island prison, that's where Mandela was for 27 years or so. The story is not complete without reference to Ghana, where there was refuge, there was safety. They tell the stories about their other, heroes that Ghana provided a haven for. Some had a Chimota education. Really.
A lot of them. Yes, and so very, very true. And so it's really shameful when you see these things being played out, and the reasons why they are happening is not the reasons they are perpetuating. And for me, I think that the rest of Africa is too quiet. We by now should be able to see a lot more forceful, definitely you would want to regulate what immigrants who come into your country can do. But as we progress, as we go forward, we need to be, we should be getting a lot more because of globalization. Our forebears could not travel as easily as we can today. Our forebears did not have the opportunity of the internet and being able to see all that happens. And so when you see xenophobia happening in Africa, a country that the black man has suffered in the most, it really breaks my heart. And I am hoping that these criminals who you can see, they don't hide their faces. Their videos are everywhere. The challenge is the leadership in South Africa who know these people, but just because they want to protect votes are sacrificing, the lives of other Africans, like the way we're seeing. Look at, the level of brutality that is being meted out to people. If you say the person has to leave, let the person leave. But this level of brutality, and then you go to the place where people are having healthcare, people who are sick, and you sack them off, and it's so unconscionable and unimaginable. And even in the whole South Africa, you're not hearing the opprobrium that you're hoping that you hear from all leaders. It's really sad.
So just hold on briefly for me. Let me go to Benjamin Kwashi. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Now, as you can tell, Ghanaians are livid, very unhappy. They're actually those who are repeating, who are using words that we seek to discourage, and we here on this platform will not promote. So, High Commissioner, what is going on? What's your understanding of what is going on? Earlier, I referred to Robben Island and said Mandela spent 27. He spent 18 of his 27 years in prison over there. And when you go there, they tell you the story. It's never complete without Ghana in the picture. Why have we become a target for such inhumane brutality, animalistic conduct?
Thank you very much, Samson. A very good morning to you and our cherished viewers, and also a very good morning to my other colleague panelists. I think that we've condemned this in no certain term because, like we indicated, Africa was there for South Africa when they needed us. And so we expect that they should also reciprocate the same thing when it comes to our citizens being in their country. Over the years, the dynamics have always been that when it's getting closer to their local assembly elections, these things keep recurring. Yesterday, I was summoned by the South African authorities, and they indicated clearly that it is not to say that they don't know the perpetrators. They do know the perpetrators, and they are going to go full blaze against them and ensure that the law takes its due course. I believe that the two countries have done well this short period of time. We've met a number of times. The Honorable Minister himself has spoken to his colleague here. It's gone to the highest level. Like Ken is saying that the presidents will have to speak. I'm sure that I believe that they've spoken already. The situation is now calm, but they told us yesterday that it is not to say that it will not reoccur again, but we should let our citizens be on alert, high alert. We've issued those advisory notes to all the Ghanaians groups in this country, and we've maintain the consular services where they call and tell us whatever challenge, or any time that any of the police chiefs will call us and indicate that this particular area there's going to be some demonstrations, they will call us and say, let your people stay at home, give them a day or two, and let's ensure. In that meeting yesterday, there was a commitment that was made, and they indicated that they've never made such commitments before. That is to ask their police to condemn the act and to say it as it is without sugarcoating any word. Fortunately, the two foreign affairs ministers agreed on the wording before the South African police put out that statement. I believe that we are in good direction. I believe that South Africa has indicated to us that they are doing everything possible so that these things do not recur again. It's a dent on their image, and they truly say to us that they are sorry, and not with Ghana. They have indicated that not with Ghana. They have never had issues with Ghana. So it's just unfortunate that this incident has happened, and together we are working to resolve it.
We know that there are countries, Nigeria, elsewhere, the countries that helped them the most, when they were in trouble. Some of them have, and Zimbabwe, some of them have completely banned their citizens from even going there, or if they go there and they have any problems, they don't want to extend any diplomatic support to them, either repatriation or deportation support. They don't want to do any of that because they just feel that the government, the leadership in South Africa is somewhat collusive, is in this collusive enterprise. Because as you say, it's not condemnation we are looking from the police. These are individuals who are known. Just arrest them.
I think that yesterday in the meeting, they were categorical on that. We asked them that these are individuals that are on social media, on all media platforms. They keep on, I know that TV3 in Ghana interviewed the lady, the Zuma lady, who is the head of the March for March group. I think that what they told us clearly was that they are going to invite them, they are going to arrest them, they are going to ensure that the law works. We're going to hold them accountable to that. We're going to make sure that they don't continue traumatizing our people, and also others from African descent as well. Samson, I can confidently tell you that we've not gone into the negotiations just allowing them to tell us that they will do this, they will do that. We've asked them that these are things that we want to see actions on, and they've indicated to us that in the days to come, whoever was the architect of these things that have happened will be arrested, and to ensure that they face the full rigors of the law.
In the meantime, what is the kind of support you are extending to Ghanaians who are suffering this? Please hold on briefly for me, and let me bring on your colleague. And I'm talking here about Charles Oredu, the MP for Ebrim and former High Commissioner of Ghana to South Africa. Is there something, Charles, that you think we should do that we are not doing? Summoning the High Commissioner here in Ghana and, demanding assurances, and then meeting in South Africa with the police and crafting a statement and taking an assurance that arrests will be done?
Thank you, Samson. I think that we shouldn't be repeating what we did in the past and didn't see any breakthrough. I speak to you as somebody who has, some level of policy experience and then diplomatic engagement with my previous jobs as a deputy foreign minister and later the high commissioner to South Africa. You see, South Africans do have issues. One, unemployment, poverty, inequality. And then some few people do think that the only way to solve these issues that they are confronted with is by forming this Operation Dudula and then, vigilante groups and then going around, to intimidate people and then, exact mob justice on innocent people. Like other panelists have rightly said, our relationship with South Africa goes way, 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 way back. During my time there as the High Commissioner, I worked with some of the current High Commissioner. He was one of the leaders of the Ghanaian community then, so we really worked together. But then what I see now is that it's not enough for SAPS or the Ministry of Police to issue a statement and saying that we are condemning this and then having a joint statement with our foreign minister. It doesn't help because it's never been the solution. I think that what High Commissioner Kwashi, you need to do now is to involve the other ECOWAS ambassadors and then get the AU, if it can be even at the level of AU ambassadors, because this is not only peculiar to Ghana. What is happening is not only, directed at Ghanaians. Like Samson rightly said earlier, all other countries are faced with this mob justice and what is happening in South Africa. So let's have a strong voice from AU, to speak to this, because once they see that we have a solid front, coming in and then criticizing them as to how they are handling these matters, I think that they can, because like you said, all these people are known in South Africa. They are brazenly on social media, uttering these words, and then nothing is happening to them. They will say this thing, they will issue statements, and then yet it will happen again. So let's have that unity, that unity, or have that united front from Africa, pursuing the international department and then the government of South Africa to ensure that they nip this in the bud. Because after all, one of the reasons why we, had this visa waiver arrangement between Ghana and South Africa had to do with making sure that there's enough people-to-people contact. Hitherto South Africans hardly traveled. South Africans, they hardly. So when these matters started coming up, at that time I was the deputy foreign minister, and we initiated this, that okay, then let's have an arrangement where people can travel to each other's countries, see what's happening, and then something. You saw recently this Lilian from Zambia. Zambians hardly, traveled like South Africans. But then when she came to Ghana, because she has this strong social media presence, a lot of Zambians, starting from, the Fugu, whatever happened with the Fugu arrangements, and then a lot of Zambians are now interested in what is happening in Ghana. So that's one thing that we can also encourage, enough people-to-people contact. Apart from that, High Commissioner, you also have to engage the media. I started it, engaging, going on some of their media platforms, speaking to South Africans. They love somebody like Asamoah Gyan because of his exploits, during the World Cup. They know that Ghanaians love football like they do. This education and then contact can also help. Samson, South African women will tell you that when it comes to men, they think that Ghanaian men are the best in terms of taking care of them and then, being nice, being romantic and all. And yet you have this group of people, going around without even mask, like they are showing their faces, doing what they are doing, and yet nothing is happening. So let's get the AU involved. AU can, get the government of the day in South Africa, working. Now that they are going to have their elections, this rhetoric is going to escalate. You have a lot of politicians intimating, saying all these things, and then nothing may happen.
Okay. High Commissioner, I'm coming back to you, but before I do that, I want to hear from Kwame Akufo. What do you say? And as the MP says, and the former High Commissioner says, we should bring in, the continental group. But I don't think this is really the first time we're going to have that done. I remember even President Mahama Buhari, leading the front to make statements and to let them know that, Africa held South Africa was a great support for South Africa's, liberation, and therefore it's not right for the things that they are doing. And we haven't seen anything. This is the 255th incident.
I do not like to look at the situation from the position of Ghana having done something for South Africa. I think we have to look at this matter in its entirety on a holistic basis. First and foremost, even back home here, there's few examples of this untidy conduct. Let us look at the relationship, for example, between our traders and Nigerian traders. We've closed our eyes to that. So there are sproutings of this desperate conduct in various sections of Africa.
Actually, very recently, there's a group, some ladies and so on, they were demonstrating. I don't know where exactly they were demonstrating, and shouting and asking Nigerians to leave our country.
Exactly. So we must not just be concerned about what happens in South Africa. As a nation ourselves, what example do we set? We've had situations where Ghanaian traders have gone to close down Nigerian shops. Have we arrested them? Have we punished them? Have we set an example out to that Ghanaian that such conduct is wrong? Why do we expect better from South Africa? But at the end of the day, the crucial issue here is these things are fermented, encouraged, motivated, nurtured, and put into fruition by economic situations. Insofar as the economic situation in certain countries are not working for a certain segment of the society, you're likely to see frustrated people or some political opinionated leaders taking advantage of it to win political points. It requires the nation and the leadership of countries to pick up the political will to be able to punish those who engage in these oppressive activities. All this rhetoric about African ambassadors at the EU level is very respectable. But unless the leadership of South Africa, Ghana, or other African countries decide to take up the position that they will focus and punish those who carry out these activities in a very coherent and clearly visible manner, we are not going anywhere. Several times, on several occasions, we've seen this Jesuit conduct on the part of the South African people. People attacking, people beating up black people, asking them to leave. At the core of it is a complaint about immigration, violation of immigration laws. The only thing which is completely illegitimate is the solution which is being adopted by these people to fight those who are violating the immigration laws. And yes, citizens have a right to complain about the violation of the immigration laws. It is for the states to fill in that gap and not allow the citizenry to take the law into their hands to protect immigration laws.
Listening to some of them, actually, it's not about immigration.
Yes.
They think it is wrong for you to seek residency in South Africa, for you to seek to be of another country.
I can understand
and
that.
Try to naturalize or stay in South Africa.
I can understand that. That's
legally.
That's the extreme position some of them take. But at the core of it is that foolish or founded fear that you've come to take our jobs. You saw it in England recently when asylum seekers who were being housed in the hotel was burnt down. So these xenophobic elements are everywhere on every part of the planet. But the state has to step in. When it happened in England recently, you saw Prime Minister Keir Starmer and other people putting the police. People were convicted. And this rabble-rousing has diminished. It doesn't mean that racism or xenophobia is gone. But there's the need for the political will of the Republic to fight it. Otherwise, this miserable and drowsy argument will continue and linger with us for a long time. It's the political will to fight this battle. And it happens everywhere. We have it at home. We have it in South Africa. We shouldn't close our eyes to what happens here. And we shouldn't close our eyes to what happens in South Africa. It's a joint African thing, and we have to fight it with the political will, not leaving the space for recalcitrant and dangerous elements to fill in the gap. That is what I have to say on this matter.
Okay. High Commissioner, so from where you sit, I was asking what kind of support you are giving to the affected citizens, and how soon would you have timelines for your demands of, action, concrete action? As Kwame Akufo was speaking about even some of the things that Ghanaians, some Ghanaians, a few elements within the Ghanaian society are known to do. It brings to mind the 1969 situation where we had to expel Nigerians from this country, and the retaliation in 83, and how we are trying never to get back to that state.
Hello, Samson, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Okay. I think that listening to the brilliant ideas from the other panelists, I think that we are doing everything possible not to make this just like it has been before. My good friend Charles indicated that during his tenure, he also put in some interventions. I know for a fact that the ECOWAS group, which has to do with all the ambassadors from the ECOWAS region, are meeting on Monday to take a decision that we will be communicating to the government authorities here in South Africa. I believe that what is necessary and what is important is to ensure that our citizenry are safe, our citizenry don't go through this rather difficult situations again. Something, let me also place on record that most of the videos that are surfacing are videos that have happened times back. There are a few of them that are recent. So when we went to them yesterday, they played those videos, and some of us saw it and were like, oh, it just happened. They said, no, this happened 2 years ago, this happened 3 years ago. But the overall effect is that we need to do better. South Africa needs to do better. For the Foreign Affairs Minister has indicated clearly that there will be no reprisal attacks. It means that is a sign of good faith from the Ghanaian side of the table. What we are also asking them to do is to show good faith, arrest the people, don't only condemn, arrest them, let them face the full rigors of the law. And we believe that if 1, 2, or 3 people are arrested and they face the full rigors of the law, then the citizenry in South Africa will not continue taking the laws into their own hands and doing these barbaric things to other nationals. I believe that we are getting there and would ensure that this happens and happens quickly.
What would be your advice to Ghanaians the few Ghanaians, and we've actually heard some Ghanaians who have the opportunity of the microphone on national television say some things that, we in Ghana would not like to promote?
I think that we should continue to be that decorous society. We should continue to be that law-abiding society. Look, Samson, when you go into any meetings, the first thing they say is that we didn't expect this meeting to be between us and Ghana because the two of us have good relations. We don't know why this thing is happening at this time. What we are saying is that we continue advising our citizenry in this country that don't play into the escalation. Sometimes all they do is to provoke you. Then after that, they react by doing the sort of things that they are doing. Our consular officers are on standby 24 hours every day. Immediately, other Ghanaians in other provinces call us and tell us that this and this is happening. We quickly get there. We quickly speak to the mayors or the police chiefs in those areas. And they've been very cooperative, ensuring that we protect the lives and businesses of every single Ghanaian that is in South Africa.
Right. Thank you very much for your time this morning.
Let me just say this.
Benjamin Kofi Kwashi, who is Ghana's High Commissioner to South Africa. Yes, Kwame.
I just want to say this. It doesn't matter whether the videos are 2 years old or 3 years old. What matters is that these occur. And I worry that the High Commissioner has to get there before the mayors and the police get involved, which clearly shows that without intervention of the High Commissioner, Ghanaians are toast.
Because I'm asking, who can walk into Kolebu or any of the public hospitals
in Ghana
and start doing the things they are doing, and you need a mayor or somebody to get the police there?
The extent that the High Commissioner says he has to make contact with the mayors shows a very discredited system. He has to go and complain to the mayors before somebody stops getting slapped.
Oh,
It's a big problem.
Doc, you wanted to say something briefly.
No, well, the High Commissioner, well, we thank him for all the work that is being done, but I think a lot more needs to be done. You know, a lot more needs to be done from our side to protect our people. And I'm hoping that the whole ECOWAS conversation, and I think the AU conversation, would happen quickly. And let's, you know, the revulsion for this is not what we are seeing. And I completely hear that this has been happening all along, but the South African one is really a painful one.
It is especially
when we do it, you know, these are people who have suffered it before and they themselves are applying it, the same black people.
But Doc, there's a story they keep talking about. Stay in your country, develop your country.
Well, you see, I don't want to even go there and, you know, how much of that country have those who are talking developed? How much of that have they developed? And again, this is a very global, you know, economy. You know, if you take some of their businesses, where they are making their money is from, it's from other countries as well. We have big brands, South African brands that are here. Are we also going to sit and say, you know, go back, you know, as a South African business, you go back to your country? We need to live and let's live. That's how
we're exporting churches.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
South Africa. We're exporting churches to South Africa.
Okay. Charles, what will you say to Ghanaians who have been very angry and some have been very emotional? Sometimes some people will say legitimately in their reactions.
I think that we would have to be a little bit measured, you know, as a people, because we are one people. As we speak now, with the Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, they are at the Secretariat. You know, it's been headed by a South African who is already here. You know, we cannot say that we are going to retaliate, and that I read statements online where people are threatening to attack MTN, South African businesses and all that. I don't think that that's helpful, because these companies also employ Ghanaians. And then if you decide to go and then barricade these companies, at the end of the day, it's we Ghanaians that are going to suffer.
Well, those who venture those attacks, here the law works.
The law would work.
The police, the military, they will go after that.
It does. It does. I think that one thing that is the South Africans, to me, the authorities lack is the power to enforce. Because I just don't know why the authorities cannot, because these people are known. Those who are, you know, leading Operation Dudula, they are known in South Africa. You know, that they can easily, SAPs can easily go and just pick them up. And yet they just sit down and then issue a statement. This matter would have to be escalated at the level of the presidency, you know, get more rapprochement, you know, it should increase between Ghana and then South Africa, get the two presidents, because the foreign minister had already spoken to his colleague, foreign minister in South Africa. And yet we've not seen anything. What we just saw was this mere issuance of a statement. That's not, you know, tackling the root causes of the matter. The presidents must speak. The two presidents must speak. And then they should ensure that Ghanaians are protected. The Ghanaians in South Africa, they are law-abiding. I visited a lot of Ghanaian companies and Ghanaian businesses in South Africa. They are generally law-abiding. You know, they own the saloons, the barbering shops, the churches, and we also have people within the, you know, the business community in South Africa. Most Ghanaians own their own businesses anyway, you know. So we shouldn't say that because they are doing this, there ought to be some reprisal attacks from our end. I think that we shouldn't go that tangent. We shouldn't go that tangent at all.
All right. Thank you very much, Charles. And Charles will stay with us for the rest of the discussions that we're going to have. We will take a quick break here, but when we return, we're going to be asking a number of questions. What is going on really? Our churches, our bishops say they cannot baptize in rivers anymore. Why? Because the rivers are polluted, Galamsey pollution. The paediatricians say our children are dying, and that the president, who recently led a very noble cause in the UN, should see Galamsey as the gravest crime. We'll be right back.
Extensive pollution of water bodies due to illegal mining has hampered traditional water baptism in some mining communities, necessitating a shift to synthetic rubber pools in several districts to carry out the ordinance. Unfavorable rainfall patterns and the deterioration of cocoa farms have established the livelihood of members who depend on agriculture and farming. These unpredicted environmental conditions, along with the seasonal migration of fisher folks, continue to impact the steady financial growth and stability of affected local assemblies.
Right, so the Church of Pentecost is not alone, and the Pediatric Society of Ghana also has some demands, because they say this ought to be treated as the gravest crime, the same way that the president went to speak to the UN and sought the adoption of a resolution for the transatlantic slavery to be recognized as the gravest crime. They say to the president that he needs to elevate Galamsey to a national emergency of public health and national security concern. That's if he's not doing that. Lead a coordinated, science-driven and sustained national response involving health, environment, security, and education sectors. Protect critical water bodies and forest reserves with uncompromising enforcements. Then invest in child-centered environmental health surveillance and early intervention systems to screen, diagnose, and urgently treat children with health problems like heavy metal toxicity. The Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey wrote a petition directed at the NPA, the National Petroleum Authority, complaining about certain things there as well. And the National Petroleum Authority also admits that tanker drivers and their mates are suddenly, abandoning their work and going into Galamsey because they find that more profitable. So what is going on? That's the question we're asking. So we have the best guys on set today to help us do this discussion. And joining us also for this discussion is Ama Mausi Mawenyafia, who is National Coordinator, Responsible Cooperative Mining and Skills Development Program. We also have Darrell Bosu, Deputy Director, Arocha, Ghana. They have been on this subject for a long time. So all those I've just announced are joining Dr. Ken Ashigbe of the coalition, the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey, and Kwame Boafo Akufo will also help us in this discussion. Lady and the gentlemen who are now joining us via Zoom, good morning and welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Right. So I'll start with you. Do you get the concern of the chairman of the Pentecost Church, the Pediatric Society of Ghana? Do you appreciate their concern?
Absolutely. Good morning again to your viewers. The issue of Galamsey, we all agree, is a cancer that's come to stay with us. However, we're not debating the fact that it needs to be dealt with, and government has done so much in the last year, a little over the last year, to be able to fight it. We appreciate the concerns, we appreciate all the feedback from all the organizations and all of that. But Samson, if you look at what government has done over the period, since President Mahama took over office, from January, February 2025, all the way till now, significant gains have been made in the fight. What we did when we took over office was basically to say we needed to, first of all, diagnose the problem. Galamsey did not start today. It did not start
The problem was known. The solutions have been known.
The solutions have been known. But you see, we also needed to ensure that whatever solution we're putting on the table needed to be holistic, so that you don't have fragmented solutions to the problem. Everything needed to feed into something. And so when you have a holistic approach, you're able to make better gains. And let me just run you through. So when we came, one of the things that, first of all, we needed to, of course, diagnose the problem and identify what was the cause of all the problems and all of that. At the heart of this is greed. And when we're just offset, I mentioned that so many people are greedy. But you also recognize that there's also the thing of gold prices skyrocketing. Between when we took over office versus now, it's gone up by over $2,000 per ounce. Gold prices skyrocketing. People are also looking for livelihood opportunities. People want jobs. And so when you put all of these things together and we realize that this is what is causing the problem, then when you're putting in solutions or you want to profile a solution, you want to ensure that the solution is able to address all of the things that you have identified. So first of all, I talked about greed, but I also talked about, but there's also the thing of people don't necessarily, sometimes you find out that some of them people don't even know. Sometimes the effects of the activities they engage in, how they expose themselves to mercury and the arsenic and all of those things. And so you want to drive stakeholder engagement. But whilst you're doing that, you're also driving awareness. And that was one of the first things that we did. So from the legislators to chiefs, to civil society, to academia, we've engaged extensively. Now, while we're doing all of that, there's also the thing of the laws. Mining is a viable economic activity. We all agree. But whilst we agree that it's a viable activity and we've seen the gains that it's brought to us, then you recognize that there are laws that are governing that activity. So you look at the laws. Are there loopholes in the laws? Are there gaps? How do we address all of those things? So we did that. So we've done a comprehensive overhaul of the Minerals and Mining Act 703, the Minerals and Mining Policy. And we've toured the length and breadth of the country, engaged all our stakeholders, basically, to get everybody's input to make sure that we are able to tighten the laws. Where there are gaps, where there are loopholes, we make sure that we close all of them.
Is the problem really lack of effective laws? I doubt it.
There's an element of that.
If we enforced our laws, even a quarter of it, we will not have this problem.
I was coming to it. So that's what I was talking about having a holistic plan. Now, we talked about, I was just mentioning.
The holistic plan you're speaking to so far sounds to me like doing the same things and expecting different results.
We're not doing the same. No, we're not doing the same thing and expecting different results. I just talked about regulation. Yes, regulating the laws. Now, once we do that, we also look at enforcement. Over the period, we've had all these task forces going around, arresting people and all of those things. But we ask ourselves, don't we have security agencies? How do you bring all the security agencies to bear and ensure that you have a coordinated unit? So, for instance, if there's an intel on Galamsey activity happening somewhere, it's picked up by national security, for instance, and we go with the police and we go with soldiers and everybody does their job. The police does the arrest and we hand them over to, if there are drugs on sites, because you have high incidence of illegal drugs, especially on these Galamsey sites. So we are working with NACOPS. We were coordinating with them. And immigration, where there are illegal immigrants on site, and the Ghana Immigration Service needs to deal with them. When you have all of this coordinated unit, don't you have better results versus picking a bunch of young guys and calling them a task force and deploying them to go and effect arrest? So you have a coordinated effort now, and that's where the law enforcement bit comes in.
After the coordinated effort is NIMOS.
It's right? NIMOS, yes, that is NIMOS.
NIMOS is not new either.
Samson.
Please go on.
Okay, no, wait.
I'll be sincere with you about this subject.
I'm saying that.
I'll be sincere with you about this subject.
Let's be sincere.
This is my posture to this subject. I've moderated discussions on this subject for almost a decade.
Yeah.
I'm fatigued, but I can't watch the existential threats. I can't watch it. So all the things you talk about, I'm very sorry, but I hear them and they sound not different from the things we saw
they are different.
Previously, even in Akufo-Addo's regime.
They are different.
Where there was a major, onslaught with a ban. Unfortunately, during the period of the ban,
what happened?
We know what happened.
Yes, but you see, that's what I'm saying. If you are, for instance, instituting a ban to say, no, people should not engage in a certain activity, this is an economic activity we are talking about. What do you think will happen when you have that ban in place and you're telling people not to engage in an economic activity? So that's what I'm saying, that at the end of the day, when you're putting all of these things together, they need to feed into each other and ensure that they are holistic. Do you get it? That way, you are not leaving room for gaps in the whole plan. I talked about people looking for livelihood opportunities. Today, a lot of these young guys are engaged, and a lot of young people are engaged in illegal mining activities. First of all, mining is expensive, and Dr. Ken Ashigbe is here. He will tell you, mining is very expensive. Half of the time, they're not able to afford the equipment and the machinery they need to engage in some of these things. And so, if, for instance, you have responsible cooperative mining program in place where you're able to bring them together, you provide oversight for them, you provide them with support, you provide them with the logistics, you basically formalize the trade, you take them away from the illegalities. And so that's why I'm saying that at the end of the day, the approach needs to be holistic, and that's what we've been able to do so far. Then you look at environmental rehabilitation. So where the water has been polluted, which is what Chairman Eric Nyamiche spoke about, where you have degraded lands and we need reclamation and all of those things. Then you look at putting in measures in place. So you have a Blue Water Initiative, for instance, you have Tree for Life Initiative. You put all of those things in place and ensure that you're able to do that. At the end of the day, the point I am making is the approach needs to be holistic, and that's what we've been able to do so far.
Right, interesting. You catch a breather, I'll go around the table and return to you. Dr. Ken Ashigbe, and I know you have been on these beats for forever. When the NPP came into office, they had spoken about formalization of the illegal, mining sector. But you led the media coalition. That was the first coalition that you set up. You led the media coalition against Galamsey. And the government then decided to adopt your approach and rather abandon partially its political, campaign approach to the problem. Yes, you must be tired.
Samson, I think again I think you summed it up, that you've been doing this for like a decade and you are tired. But you see, the situation is that this is you tired on a raft, and you know that if you leave it, you will sink and you will die. So that's it. And sometimes you hear people ask you, and then, what are you doing? And I'm like, but this thing. So yes, it is. But unfortunately, Marcy talks about all the things that they're doing, and I just going back and looking at data from Operation Vanguard and all of that. Yeah, the good thing about some of the things they're doing, if you take the responsible mining, for example, they've taken the failures in community mining and they're trying to improve it. But you see, again, the issue about laws. When you have the situation, and again, I just want to take things that are happening, and the president says he knows those who are involved in it. And you have an executive president. And it's akin, again, remember when I was on the platform with the president, and I asked him about, Benedict Chibo, and the president tells me that he's not involved in Galamsey as we speak. Then I have, and then, so then this new one, the president comes to say, he knows his people are involved in it. This is our executive president. The Attorney General works with him. Why are we not prosecuting them? The only person now that we know that is, again, if you go back to October 2024, the president tells us when he was then campaigning that it is not these people who are in the pits, that are the problem. The problem are the kingpins. But we've come. The only kingpin that I can see being prosecuted currently is in Chibo. Even if you take those kingpins of the yesteryears, if you take Professor Frimpong Boate's report, what is happening to them? Nothing.
The two NDC executives that were accused, the investigation obviously is taking forever.
Again, you remember when we met the civil society, His Excellency the President, Attorney General told us that the report, he's waiting for the report from Iyoko. What has happened to that? Now let me bring you close home to...
Do you sincerely expect that anything will be done to...
You see, so that's why...
these party executives?
You see, that's why I get exasperated when I hear what is happening to the OSP. Because, see, the challenge is that the politicians would never prosecute their own. And the evidence exists since we started it. Nanado said it, that when I asked him a question or something Ejigwe Sako had done in the past, he tells me that as we speak, he was not involved in it. You have had His Excellency tell us he knows his people are involved in it. Nothing has happened. We've had a Speaker of Parliament speak to the people in Parliament and say they know that some of the people are involved in it. So you see, fortunately for us, the Constitution says we are the sovereign. It is the reason why, for me, the discussion is back with the churches. The Catholic Bishops' Conference, again, that's my church. That we, Accra, were the only people who rose up in prayer, to push the agenda when the former president was in place. And we're being consistent.
They have issued statements upon statement. I suppose by now they are going to give up. They cannot be tired
because they know the way the devil works. He's like a roaring lion. He goes. So you push. And that's what the Galamseyers do. So again, look at the issues around the documentary that was done by JoyNews, which then points out that MCs, ordinarily a place that NIMOS would go and arrest people, the DCE, MCE people go there and collect money. And then what we hear is that these people are going to be trained, these people are going to be oriented. There's a crime that has been committed. And His Excellency tells us that it was something that started in the past regime. But if you go to Act 995, you know that...
IGF, they didn't know that they were doing the wrong thing.
So again,
they were charging for the chamfans excavated.
Chamfans that had been proscribed.
Because they knew that these things were going to be used for small-scale legal mining.
Chamfans are proscribed. So chamfans, you cannot, it's not for small-scale mining. It's not for any legal mining. When you go to a place that ordinarily, if NIMOS comes there, he will arrest the people and you go and collect money from the people, how don't you know that what you're doing is a criminality? And you see, Act 995 is very clear. Once you facilitate it, once you facilitate the crime, you are part of the crime. And so for me, when these things happen, and then because it started in the old regime, up till now we won't prosecute, by now we should go back and prosecute. There is currently a DC who is a contempt convict. And his contempt conviction is based on, Galamsey. And I would have expected that such a person, and he says that the person who's gotten him the contempt is the Galamseyer. So at least you need to settle that. You need to settle that. Find out if what he's saying is true, then that person that has gotten convicted is the person you go after.
Is this?
I'm trying hard. I think it's in the eastern region. Yes, he was giving, and I think it was 12,000 that he paid instead of the 6 months that he was, So he's actually
giving a custodial.
Yeah, so he paid a fine. So he's actually a convict. A contempt convict. And so somebody like this, again, you see, that's why I say that if as a people we see what is confronting us, then the response is not the way we ought to do it. I see that so many good things happening currently in this country in terms of the way the economy has turned. And I agree with Mausi that this minister has shown, okay, let me not use that word, and done a few of the heavy liftings and all of that. Even if you see, when civil society met His Excellency the President, the Ghana Chamber of Mines, the Bishops' Conference, the coalition, we provided position papers. And again, we credit the president for that. He gave that to the ministry. The ministry has worked on it. And if you see the things the ministry have done, some of them, they've directed it to the president for the president to deal with. Marcy talks about rule of law. How is it that we sit in this country? Act 995 is very clear. But then we arrest foreigners. And then what we do is to break the law. You have the Minister for Interior come up with a policy position which is completely against the law. The law says that when you arrest these people, what you do is that you take them through the conviction. Once you have done that, they serve their sentences, and then after that you deport them. But currently we are deporting them. And again, you see, for me as a social scientist and also a physical scientist, we are in this country when we deported Aisha Wang. What happened? Even the president himself said he don't know whether he had been deported. So our borders are so porous You know, so when these people, we deport them, and majority of them are Chinese. Again, it's also empirical data. The majority of them are Chinese. Now we have even Burkina Faso. Another major issue that's confronting us is cyanide. They are coming in and they are doing major cyanidation, and a lot of them are the Burkina Faso who are doing it. But you see,
so the DCE you were talking about is the Etiwa East DCE,
exactly,
who have been convicted of contempt.
Yes.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
But I get a sense from you, Doc, that you don't see much, and you've heard enough to suggest to you that there's no sufficient commitment. The speaker is talking, we know them. The president says, I know my people. Nobody's naming anybody. Even the Asante spoke about knowing the people within the room, nobody will be named. The people, NDC executives, 2 of them who were referred to Iyoko through the Attorney General, is taking almost a year. No update, nothing is going on. You feel nothing is going to really happen. And then this Galamsey tax revelation that came up, the president said is so widespread across all Galamsey, all mining communities. And they were taking it as IGF. Because of that, they don't see why they should be prosecuting them. You feel all of that gives you a sense that there's no commitment?
Yeah, so there's a lot of effort, there's a lot of action. Sometimes even those who are actually making the efforts are being thwarted. Let me give you another example. So how is it that when we met His Excellency the President, NIMAS said that one of their major strategies was permanent deployment in 22 sports. Ask how many permanent places. You would have thought that because of the urgency of that, the lives that have been lost since that had happened, the Minister of Finance cannot put money to those lives that have been lost. You would have hoped that the Minister of Finance would release funds to, the NIMAS, so that this deployment will be done. How is it? You know, Marcy talks about the issue about reclamation and all of that. Go back into the budget that we are running today, and ask yourself if 1 fathom has been given to the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources to be able. So you see, when you want to see where commitment happens, it is how you're even using your finances when it comes to the solutions, you know, of some of the problems. And so again, for me, that is the major, again, it is also to say that what are the indicators with all the things that we're doing. Tony Asari, the Architects Association, he's released a piece on Facebook just today, and he's telling you about river bodies that he's passed, you know, and the level of pollution that is involved in it. In the past, a lot of the problem was in the south. Now the Black Volta is under great threat. The Bui Dam is under great threat. You see, these are national assets of ours that is under great threat. And I agree with Marcy, the price of gold has gone up, and so, you know, there's so much of that happening. You know, people are going into it, and these are things that could be done properly. But why are they not doing it properly? It is the rich people in society, it is the politicians, it is the chief. There's a chief in Yenim, I'm holding back a bit on, but he definitely, we are going to come after him, who has been involved in some Galamsey in a community. And this one is happening right in town. So this one, would you expect the president or the Minister for Lands and Land, where is the DCE? I know the DCE has been informed about this. Where is the police people in there? Go to the road from Anyamfuri to Obuase. There's an immigration barrier. About 50 meters from there, one of these chamfang, the things that they used to do the wash, it is there. The man has written his number on it. How is it, you know, that even our police people, our immigration people have become so immune to the challenge that is happening? So yes, you see a lot of some effort happening, but the results. And so when you see the Pentecost, the leader, tell you about the fact that now they do immersive baptism, and now they cannot even, you know, have baptism. And then you have the effrontery.
Look, we are talking about baptism. People are not going to drink the water in baptism. People have been drinking the polluted water for a long time, and you and I have been on this campaign. So it's not that because people cannot baptize in the rivers, now suddenly the problem has, gotten worse. Let me go to Darrell. Hello, Darrell Bosu. Hello, Darrell.
Hello, Samson. Good morning to you.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. And so Darrell is with Arocha, Ghana, but he's also one of the conveners of the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey. They are very respectable Ghanaian, individuals, entrepreneurs, and many other people on that particular coalition. And I'm proud to be one of them. Now, Darrell, when you listen to Mausi, when you listen to your own friend, you recently petitioned, is it the MPA? When you hear the Pediatric Society, what do you have to say?
Good morning, Samson, again, and also to Ken and Mausi, and also colleague panelist. I didn't get the name right, but I think that this is a very important discussion, and I'm happy that you have brought it up again into the limelight. And I mean, the outlook on the ground. Our team has been on the ground for the past month, covering the regions, most of the regions where Galamsey is very rife, and also where you see NIMOS also taking some action, as has been indicated. But on the ground, if you look at the statistics, if you look at the evidence in communities, if you look at the pressure communities are coming under, and if you also review some of the medical reports coming out of institutions of the Pediatric Society and all of that, it's a clear indication that the fight against Galamsey is failing. And why do we say this? I mean, we go on the ground and what we see is that key indicators of the state of our forests, whether they are still under siege from miners and all of that, is still in the red. We are not doing well with that. If you look at the state of our rivers, the current state of our rivers in terms of turbidity and even quality of the water that communities are having access to and all of that, is also looking very terrible. Then if you also look at the extent to which impunity is very much rife in a lot of the communities, and I think Ken did mention activities happening right in communities. Now, if you are on the highways anywhere in the country, if you come across Konongo, Dumasi, you see people mining right there on the right side if you are traveling to Kumasi from Accra. And then you come to Asenkregwa, you see that as well. All the way from Wase Kropon to Bogoso town, you see mining right in the open with such impunity, as if there is no police or there is no enforcement unit. Then you come to Chebi Township, Enyinem, Osino. My goodness, it's an eyesore. Now, what is even shocking with all of these indicators is that, let's take particular case of Chebi. That particular town has got the regional police command, the district police command, the divisional police command. And this is where I would disagree when Mausi say that the effort is very much coordinated and law enforcement, NIMOS is doing very well. I think on paper, it is coordinated, but in strategy and outcome, we are failing significantly. Listen, see, what happens on the ground is that if you go to a lot of the communities, Galamsey is happening right behind the buildings of communities, people's houses, and sometimes even close to police stations. But all of them are waiting for NIMOS to deploy from Accra before these issues are addressed. That is a sad situation. That is ad hoc. That is not coordination. So I think that if we really talk about coordination, it should start with every member of the security apparatus at the district level, regional level, and then working with NIMOS to make sure that we deal with this issue. That is not happening right now. Then Mausi also did really give a very good appreciation of the source of the menace. She talked about the prices of gold hiking on the international market. That is true. That is an external factor we cannot control. Then she talks about greed. How do you deal with greed? Greed means that there are certain individuals who are involved, who are participating with impunity. This is where we need to activate our own laws. And thankfully, the previous administration, through Act 995, did put in place some good provisions that this government, if we were really minded, could have taken advantage of to make sure that we solve the problem. But unfortunately, this government came and decided to water down every provision in Act 995, particularly on the bit of ensuring that foreigners are prosecuted before deportation, and then the critical bit on facilitation, using the provision section 99 of ensure people who facilitate Galamsey are really also apprehended and brought to book. That has been clearly missing. And so I think that the fight against Galamsey so far has been very uncoordinated and is also so ad hoc. I also make this point that we set up groups like the Blue Water Guards and all of that. I frankly am failing to see their impact when it comes to the fight against Galamsey. I see critical resources being deployed to a group that could have been channeled to institutions like the police, that could have been channeled to decentralized institutions like the Forestry Commission, the Minerals Commission, and actually the police to ensure that this work is done. The work of Blue Water Guards have been done and had already been done by communities for a long time. The problem has been that when communities report to the police, nobody acts on them. So what is the difference between the Blue Water Guards and the work that community people have been doing? I see no difference. And we talk about forest reserves. Listen, I think we have a situation where the Forestry Commission is doing whatever they can, but these miners now don't go into our forest reserve with excavators. They go in droves of hundreds with their pickaxes and sometimes with their one leg and get into the forest, and this is where they need support. So I believe that, I think Ken did make a good mention of the fact that NIMOS is struggling. It cannot be our major strategy to deal with the excesses on the field. If we want to see coordination, we need to bring the district and regional police commands on board. I am really sad when we had a situation where the police were really on the field as well, but we didn't find a way to kind of coordinate activities together, and we had to shut them down. And that's an opportunity we missed. And then when it comes to river bodies, I think the point that was made by the Pediatric Society is really, really critical. And I am very happy that they raised the
Darryl, hold on. I'll come to the Pediatric Society matter. And the pictures you're seeing are recent. They are from the photographer, Adam Stramsai, who, you remember, we have engaged him here before, where he took us through some of the pictures that he's going around capturing with drones. And they break your heart when you see the pictures. These are current pictures that Adam Stramsai is taking around Galamsey. Nasty. Watreso Township, Ashanti region, reduced to a graveyard of Galamsey pits, destroying completely the Oda River, breeding mosquitoes and becoming traps for innocent humans. And he says this is a footage he took only on the 20th of April, 2026. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when you listen to Ken Ashigbe and Darryl Bosu, you are not listening to general commentators. You are not listening to your typical Ghanaian commentators who know everything, who comment on everything. These guys are dedicated to the Galamsey fight, and they have been at it for years. So when they tell you that almost on all the metrics, we are failing, please listen to them. Darryl, give me your verdict one more time. That from where you sit and from the knowledge that you have on all the metrics, stability, whatever, and so on, we are worsening rather than improving, as the government wants us to believe. Is that what you're saying?
No, I mean, I think, Samson, you are very right. And if you look at our water bodies, our forest reserves, look at the pressure communities are under, and even our ability to enforce the law, prosecute people who are in Galamsey so that they face the rigors of law and not do what they are doing, even the use of mercury, poisonous substances in mining, mercury and cyanide and all of that. There is clear failure on all fronts. The only thing maybe we commend government on was the revocation of LI 2462, which was also kind of a way to give loopholes for government sector agencies to give people access to mining and forest. But even the issue of establishing special courts, which was very critical to making sure that Act 995 was implemented to the full. We are failing on that. And the situation right now is so dire.
No, as for the court, they have been established, as the Chief Justice announced, right?
Yeah, but what's happening from the courts?
Yeah, but the courts, did we really lack them?
No.
Courts that were designated as Galamsey courts, we have not lacked that.
Yes.
That's why I asked the question,
the previous
are we
Chief
doing
Justice
anything new indeed? When Mausi spoke about the laws that are being looked at and reviewed, I asked myself, which portion of the law, which specific law? President Akufo-Addo said that we couldn't trust the judges at a point because they had the liberty to grant sentences.
Yeah.
So we had to improve the law in 2019.
Correct.
2020. We have to improve the law to escalate the punishment to about 25 years thereabout. Correct. And the judge's discretion was removed. And President Akufo-Addo said we couldn't trust the judges to exercise their discretion because the Galamsey guys have money.
Yes.
So we set the minimum and the maximum so that they couldn't have a wriggle room. So what is it about the law that we are really doing? I think
one interesting thing that the current government is doing about the law is bringing in the medium tier. For me, I think that's if that comes and it's better regulated, it might help, but sometimes I completely agree with you. I think Ghana, we have more laws. The challenge is, you see, Awolasawa said this, and I think it's apt. The firefighters are the arsonists. The people who are supposed to kill the fire are the ones setting the fire. They are the ones benefiting from it. Actually, I'm telling you about a chief. Currently, he's sitting in the middle of the town and he's mining. This is a chief. These are supposed to be custodians of the land. You see, you go into places that chiefs that are giving the land, even in the north now, the Savannah area, that chiefs that are giving the lands out now. You have MCEs, DCEs, you have party chairman, constituency chairman, who are in it. And when President Mahama tells you that what is happening is that those in the past now transmogrify and coming to the new government, the MPP people now are minority shareholders, the MPP criminals who were doing it in the past, now are the minority shareholders in this capoodle. So now the NDC criminals now have 70% and they have 30%. Ask yourself one good question. Government, one of the things government has done well is excavator, making sure they are preventing it from coming. Where are these people getting excavators to do it? So the NDC people have not brought excavators in. All the equipment that are in are the ones that they've given to these new people. So they are doing it under and most of these people are not politicians. So they are not your typical, they are only doing it for convenience. They are using that particular group. But unfortunately, the people who have to make sure we're dealing with, that's why we've gone to the MPO.
Let's Darrell finish his point and then I'll come to Kwame because Kwame is itching to say something that you can trust him and how he construct his views and deliver the punchy, salvos. Darrell, you were getting to the Pediatric Society and their statement because that is the statement that brought us back to this subject this week. In addition to your petition to MPA and then Apostle Nyamiche's, comments about baptism.
Yes, thank you. So I think that when you listen to the Pediatric Society statement, they raise very fundamental issues that we all along has been on the table. You remember last year there was a report coming from Pure Earth together with the EPA, talking about the extent to which our river bodies are so polluted, with even naming certain areas, towns like Konongo, Dumas areas and all of that. But I think the issue is that there's a lot of children involved in the mining now that it's so sad. You go to areas like Asankwa, you see mothers with their children all carrying their washing pans going to the Galamsey side. Another occasion we're going to the field, we saw two small girls, less than 10 years, carrying their pans and just sitting by the roadside. I don't know where they were, but clearly they were heading to the mining site. And this really talks about the extent to which we have sat down as a society and allowed our children to be so exposed. So the statement, which further raises the issue to the point of human rights violations and abuse, is very, very critical. You know, we have Ghana is as a member of the UN also subscribed to the business and human rights guidelines of the UN. And in that, the state has an obligation to protect citizens against every human right violation. Our first human right is our right to a clean and healthy environment. Our government clearly now is not respecting that. Secondly, businesses operating in Ghana have an obligation to respect these environmental rights and ensure that they are adhered to. And then thirdly, both the business community and government must ensure that they give remedy. There's been serious violations and abuses in our communities related to mining that the government has turned a blind eye on. And I believe that it's about time we take this issue up very, very seriously. And I'm very happy an institution like the Paediatric Society is bringing this issue to the fore. We cannot deal with this issue by just looking at it from the enforcement angle, but there's also a serious bit of the human rights and moral angle that needs to really force us as a people to do what is right by every citizen.
Darryl, what's new is the Paediatric Society telling us? And Doc, when I say I get fatigue, you see where I'm getting to. You remember Dr. Sampini, Professor Sampini?
Yes.
He did not just tell us a story. He had taken hundreds of placentas and done clinical investigations and told us the results. The Erastus Asaridonko's documentary he did on the back of that, the fetuses that, you know, and babies that were born with deformities. And if that did not, you know, as it were, prick our conscience and get our leaders to act the way that they ought to have acted, a statement from the Paediatric Society, what will it do? Kwame, what are you thinking? What's going through your mind? And look, the politics about it also sometimes makes it a bit difficult. Like Apostle Nyamiche had to say this, and look at the CEO of the Free Zones Board, what she did. You know, and sometimes the party people, they want to guilt you unnecessarily. They will say, where were you? Where were you? Did you say anything the last time? Meanwhile, they don't even bother to check what you said. Apostle Nyamiche was leading church leaders, the Pentecostal Council, the Christian Council. They were all going to Galamsey sites. They were actually praying on Galamsey sites, and we were the ones asking, what is the
Pentecost church, when it came to collecting signatures, when we started in 2017, they collected the largest number of signatures. So in terms of the consistency, for me, I pray for that young lady.
You come and sit on radio and say, where was he
pray for her.
When during Akufo-Addo's time? Okay, so even if the person didn't say anything during Akufo-Addo's time, they can't say anything now. You, this, class of politicians, what's wrong with you? Yes, Kwame.
Thank you very much. I think that as a society, we become extremely adjectival in our condemnation of these matters. I like to take it on the basis of policy, first and foremost. I don't know whether you know the ecologist Garrett Hardin. Garrett Hardin's position on this matter is simple. There's a principle known as tragedy of the commons.
Yes.
And tragedy of the commons talks about the unregulated sharing of depletable resources. Now, our constitution also talks about the right to life. I like to look at this from a national security perspective. I'm not concerned about what Akufo-Addo did. I'm not concerned about what John Mahama is doing. What can we do for ourselves as a society? And we must be very clear on it. Those who are into Galamsey are taking away our right to life. The state has a collective duty with the citizenry to fight against any individual, association, or entities that is taking away the right to life.
Ecocide.
This issue of deploying people from Accra to go and fight a battle in name and faraway places is rather slow for me. We should be able to pass an act of parliament on a drone policy as a national security perspective, where when we map the nation and you are mining illegally, the drone unit is activated, flares are thrown, officer.
You are simply saying...
I'm simply saying...
You set drones to shoot to kill.
To shoot to kill. All of you have been very Presbyterian about this. All of you have been very charitable about this. But I speak on the basis of a constitutional position. The Constitution says the president has the right to protect the rights of the citizenry. The rights of the citizenry will be protected not just by sending policemen to Adabraka to arrest weed smokers. We protect people against witchcraft much more than we protect the citizenry against Galamsey. We protect the citizenry against weed smokers who make noise behind our houses much more than Galamsey. Let us pass an act of parliament, and I'm telling you to work. Let us pass an act of parliament, drone policy, which eliminates Galamseyers on the spot because they are protected, they are threatening lives. When the police shoot somebody who is attempting to kill Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe here and stop him from doing so, they are protecting his life. That intervention is the drone policy. Let it go out to the National Security Secretariat. Let them investigate it. Let us set up a drone policy where the drones canvass and aerate the national space of this republic. And if you are mining illegally, we throw flares. That flare serves as a warning notice to evacuate the site in 5 minutes, 7 minutes. If you don't evacuate and the site is destroyed and somebody dies, that act of parliament should indemnify the officer, because that officer will be carrying out a constitutional mandate of protecting the rights of the citizenry.
What you are proposing is a declaration of the state of emergency, which the coalition and almost all of us, were clamoring for over 2 years or so.
We have been doing that.
And this particular president signed up to it.
Absolutely.
He won power.
Absolutely.
And then changed his mind.
You have been doing it, but you're not adding the razor teeth. I am asking that we should pass an act of parliament. All this issue of deploying soldiers who sometimes are then contaminated by people on the way, we should have a drone unit under the national security system. We drop flares to warn you. The flares are the same as a warning shot by the police asking you to evacuate a place, or we shoot. The drones come down, destroys the site. If you are caught in the middle of it and you die, that act of parliament indemnifies the police or the operating unit of the drone system from any further prosecution. Because if the Constitution allows you to protect life, let us pass an act of parliament, all of you adjective and the churches and that, all of that with respect is complete, what do you call it, Jejun talk. It's empty, it's not coherent, it's not progressive, it's not acting, it's not doing anything. We need to be able to take out the lives that threaten the greater good. In law school, we read about Bentham, about the utilitarian purpose. The greater good. If there are few people who think they can undermine the integrity to life, who think children should be born with 10 limbs or 20 limbs at the expense of everybody, how do we curate that greed? I'm not going to create the greed on the back of Matthew or Luke or Habakkuk or the book of Ruth.
The greed flourishes on the back of lack of leadership.
That is correct. That leadership key, or maybe leadership is out of ideas. I am proposing that if you look at this thing from a rational, coherent policy point of view, the Constitution allows the president to protect life. The Constitution, by that protection, we have all noticed that this Galamsey is affecting our lives. And people are dying, fetuses have been examined, placentas have been examined. There is an existential threat to the right to life. That intervention is by taking out those who are killing their neighbors. Let us drone the Galamsey sites. The Constitution allows the president to do that. Let us eliminate the lives that want to take out the lives of the greater good. And national security will be within constitutional strictures in doing that. You're all very Presbyterian about this issue, and I heard my friend sitting to my right here speak about what they want to do and coordinate it. She was speaking like a politician. I was listening to her, waxing lyrical. It will not work unless we remove those who are taking out the lives of people. We're joking. And Samson, I can assure you, the drone unit to be less expensive. It will go about the heads of the DC. It will go about the heads of the unnamed and unnamed chief. A drone unit in Accra, manned by experienced people. And the drone unit doesn't even have to be manned in Accra. We can actually allocate that job to an agency in America.
That also, Doc, eliminates this other problem where there was a regional minister.
Yes.
Somewhere in the eastern region, I believe, a regional minister who led police military guys to a Galamsey site.
The Eastern Regional Minister.
Retreat.
That is correct. Brother, the Eastern Regional Minister.
Because the Galamseyers were more powerful.
That is correct.
They had better machines.
That is correct. That is correct. I'm saying to you, the only place that the state has superiority is the airspace. Let us set up a drone unit, and I hope President Mahama will listen to me. I hope the national security people will listen to me. I'm quite, you say, people, we all read the Constitution, but people are so patriotic and so, they uplift human rights so much, they forget that the human rights is for human beings. Those who do not respect the rights of the society cannot coexist with us. So here it goes. We can allocate the function and the implementation and the operation of the drone unit to any agency outside Ghana.
No, sovereignty.
Yes, no, it's not sovereignty. It's not sovereignty. It's the allocation of it so that it is carried out in an impartial way. So that if somebody is droning from Australia, he doesn't know the boy in a Kopong, he doesn't know the boy in Nsawam. He's not concerned. Once the flares are dropped, if you're on the site, you're eliminated. I can assure you, if we begin to take out those who have decided that the neighbors' lives are not worth it, we shall be making a far much more coherent, accurate, and progressive results impact on this issue. Let's speed up this Presbyterian approach of coordinating and the skills and trying to get people, those who have decided to take out lives, ought not to be living at the expense of their neighbors. What stops us? Just if I finish.
Yes.
The police are allowed to shoot, aren't they?
Yes.
When it's a threat to life. Is that not so? Galamsey
They shoot to maim, not to kill.
But they can shoot to kill. The police are allowed to shoot to kill.
When life is threatened.
Exactly.
When their lives are threatened.
Not just their lives. If your life is threatened, if I put a gun on you now, and the police say, Kufu, drop it, and I don't drop it, they're entitled to take me out. It's not where the bullet hits. Galamsey is a threat to life.
To life now and tomorrow.
Should we eliminate those who are actively engaged in it when we give warning for them to stop? Should we?
We do to them what we do to criminals.
No. You are looking at it in a very charitable manner. You're looking at it in a charitable manner.
We arrest criminals.
No.
We prosecute them and put them in jail.
See, that's not the point. You do not arrest somebody who has put a gun to your head. We are entitled to eliminate that person. That's the distinction. If a man walks in here and takes a loaf or your mobile phone and goes and we catch him, we can prosecute him. But if a man walks in here and puts a knife to your throat, we don't have to prosecute that man. If in the process of disarming him...
The principle of self-defense.
The principle of self-defense. And the nation has it. The president has that power. That is why when the soldiers go to Boku, they don't go there with Qurans. They go there with guns and mow down those who try to take the lives of innocent people. I am saying to this republic that unless we escalate the fight against Galamsey to eliminating those who do not want you to live, me to live, for you to live, we are wasting our time. I will speak no further on this.
Ken says that the fighters are the arsonists.
Let them be. I was happy about that rhyme, but at the end of the day, Samson, the position I advocate.
You are going to shoot people on the site.
That is correct.
They are not the ones bankrolling it.
No, that's the point. You see, the thing is, those who are bankrolling it will never be on the site. You must remove the appendages of the economic power that is facilitating the destruction and annihilation of the society. We must remove those appendages. And there is nothing wrong with the drone unit carrying out the constitutional mandate of protecting life. Unless we get there, we are playing. We will all die before we realize that these people have killed us. We are going to be starting, you know the next problem? We are going to be fighting over water.
Yes.
We are already doing that.
No, we are not doing it actively. There's going to be a time that people will now barge into your house and say, give me your water. Unless we eliminate those who make this possible. Let us remove the lives of those who want to take our lives.
The nation, the government is spending money it doesn't have to treat the water.
But I'm saying to you, it will be less expensive for government if it runs a drone unit.
Sometimes I agree with Mr. Kuku.
Now you hold on for me.
It will be less expensive to run a drone unit.
Charles, before we forget, Charles Oredu is still with us. He is the MP for Aburim and former High Commissioner of Ghana to South Africa. Charles, what do you have to say about this subject matter? Because the nation is getting tired that we have spoken about this over and over and again, and we get worse rather than improve. Dr. Sapone says, I really feel sad about where Galamsey has brought this nation. It didn't have to take my brothers, Sampene and Erastus, who reported the harm. I warned against this on this same program in 2019. I did predict the immediate, delayed, and deferred implications of illegal mining. We have allowed all three to happen under our watch. We must be ashamed of ourselves, but more importantly, our leaders. The president owes us a duty to protect us, and he must demonstrate that urgently. I support what Kwame Akufu is saying. People who want to kill us don't deserve to live.
Who said that?
Dr. Kwame Sapone Sedu.
I thank him.
Yes, Charles. Hello, Charles.
Yeah, hello, Samson.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Probably will be lambasted tomorrow. But
yeah, I do appreciate the aspiration of Kwame, because it's gotten to a stage that he thinks that an eye for an eye.
You have no idea the tons of people who are sending in messages, just beginning to feel that we are finding a solution at last, supporting Kwame Akufu in what he just said and proposed to the government. You have no idea the many people who are sending in messages now and saying, thank God, we are eventually finding a solution.
So, Samson, it tells you that all the solutions that have been enumerated by Mausi is something that probably she's dreaming of, because on the ground, nothing is happening. That's why people will send you text messages, supporting this an eye for an eye kind of approach, to end what is happening. The video I just showed of Apostle Lardy Anyenini, Samson, what did he say wrong? What did the revered apostle say wrong? He's been very consistent on this matter. He believes that his church, the Pentecostals, in terms of baptism, they believe in immersion. And it's biblical. If you go through your Bible, the Acts of the Apostle, 8:26 to 40, thereabout, Philip baptized the Ethiopian official. It's there in a river. If you go to Luke, Jesus Christ was baptized by John the Baptist in River Jordan. So his church, his followers believe that this should be the right approach in terms of baptism. Some may not go that approach. And then if he comes to say that, now it's becoming difficult because nobody would want to nobody wants to even drink these rivers. And then he is saying that nobody would want to be even baptized in this water. Then we have an operative of the NDC, a CEO, come out and then openly, attack this revered minister of the gospel. I thought that even by now the president would have fired her by now. Yet, what we are used to in Ghana, look at the apology that was even issued, an infantile apology. Look at the apology, So I'm a member of parliament from a constituency where, we grow cocoa, we grow oil palm, and then we are also faced with this Galamsey menace. Samson, I'm saying these are our cocoa farmers. Little wonder that cocoa production is reducing, because the cocoa farmers are being lured with money. You plant cocoa, it takes about 5 years. So if somebody comes today and then offers you money, that, take this and then let me use your land and then to dig for gold, why wouldn't you do it? And even for the cocoa farmers, now what they're entitled to, they are not even being paid by government. Oil palm, now the prices of oil palm has also dwindled. Oil palm farmers are prepared to sell their land to these Galamseyers, because immediately they are going to get their money rather than wait after 5 years to harvest their produce. So we are sitting on a time bomb. If the destruction of our farmlands, the destruction of our water bodies is allowed to go on, then Ghanaians would appreciate, Ghanaians would support this call by Kwame Akufu that such people should be blasted, should be bombed. Because what's happening? The president did promise us that he knew the people who were directly behind this menace. He knew the Galamseyers. The Attorney General came in to say that he made an allegation that 2 people, the national organizer of the NDC, the 3rd national vice chairman of the NDC, are involved in Galamsey. Up to now, nothing has been done. The president also came out to say that he knew his own people, his party people, his ministers are engaged in Galamsey. And up to now, nothing is happening. Why wouldn't people support this cause? Why wouldn't people support this cause? The doctors are also complaining. You know, Samson, we sit in Accra thinking that, oh, if we are of the middle class, we can afford to drink a bottled water, you know, from our homes. Forgetting that the water that we go to buy, the cocoa that we go to buy, the gobe that we go to buy, is not produced with bottled water. It's this same water that's used in preparing the wache, the gobe, and the food we go out there to buy. So we can think we can fool ourselves thinking that, oh, as for me, we are immune. You know, we will sit in Accra and then drink bottled water, drink the contemporaries that we go to buy, the garden eggs that we buy from the market. They are all contaminated. And then doctors, researchers have come out. I listened to Joy FM. They came out to say, show with evidence what is happening. And yet we are sitting down saying that NIMO's water guards and what we know the problem. And yet because of political expediency, we are allowing this thing to fester. Samson, I'm saying that, like Kwame said, it's going to get to a time where water is going to be gold. People will come to our homes and demand the water that we're drinking. We need to sit up. Fight this. The journalists who were supporting Samson, yourself and your colleagues, who were showing the samples of River Ankobra, samples of River Pra, samples of River Brim, where are they now? Now they've left the fight to Samson, yourself, Erastus, and a few other journalists from Joy, Multimedia. Where are the others? We want to see that. Let them come now and tell us the current turbidity levels of this same River Ankobra, River Pra, and River Brim. They are worse now, Samson. They are worse.
Charles, we are going to use a certain nanotechnology that we are going to spend some millions of dollars to, you know, come and sanitize the water.
Samson, look at what was displayed. Forgetting that rivers run. Rivers are not lagoons. Samson, rivers are not lagoons. So
it's not a laughing matter, gentlemen. Even though I'm speaking and laughing, it's not a laughing matter.
Whole professor leading EPA come to tell us that
let's not attack the personal people personally.
I'm not attacking her. I recognize, academia exploits and all that. But I was shocked. I was scandalized when I was told that they can apply this technology to a running water. Something common sense will tell you that once you do that, unless you contain the water, if it's a lagoon, that's fine.
That's right.
But once it's running, you can never stop it.
It's a no-brainer. Thank you.
That are happening in our constituencies.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you, Charles. Now I need to. Couple of you to, as we draw the curtains on this subject. Darrow, my question to you was your petition to the MPA, and the MPA boss, Eduji Temeklo, sort of confirms your fears and says tanker drivers, their mates, they are losing them to Galamsey. What triggered your petition, and have you found a solution to it in the response of the CEO of the MPA?
And thank you, Samson. I think that this issue came out from our observations and also as a coalition, our continuous search for solutions. And this is where I think reflecting and seeing what is on the ground. If you go to the communities where mining is happening, a lot of the fuel stations, there's always a queue every morning and mid-afternoon from these miners coming to fuel up their tanks and drums and go to the. And then we ask ourselves, why is it that a critical facilitator of Galamsey, that like the fuel, is not being addressed? And this is where we really push hard. And I think that Ken, myself, and a few others, to the extent that we're even engaging with the Bogoso South Municipal Chief Executive to see how at his area they can actually pilot such an action to ensure that this is done. So I think so far we've not received any feedback yet from the MPA, but we are hoping that within the next 14 days, the MPA, seeing also how this is also affecting their own workforce, can take action to cut the fuel. We think this is very, very, very important. And until we do that, and for me, I will say that, look,
how will you know that? How will you know that the fuel being bought is going to be used to power Galamsey activities?
Samson, this one is a no-brainer. If you go to every district, every community, you see people come, you know where they are going. The fuel attendants know all these guys. People send people, the motorbikes, even if we say we don't know. There's all these intelligence agencies in our district and all of that who have this information. I have spoken to intelligence officers in some districts who say, we know everybody who is a kingpin of Galamsey. We know every site, we know who owns the site, but the question is, we are not using intelligence to deal with this menace, and that is a very unfortunate bit of it. And so I believe that it's about time we start using Section 99, Act 995, to make sure that all the facilitators of Galamsey are really brought, until we really block that loophole. I don't think all these actions we are putting together will yield any results.
Okay. Doc, just a minute's comments, your final comments, the solutions looking forward.
Yeah, so again, I get it. For me, I'm happy that I am surrounded by 4 lawyers. Because you see, this MPA move, so you saw that that document was laced with a lot of laws that shows what facilitation does. The fact that you go to the Act 995, if you go to the Criminal Offences Act, you know, all of that. And this is facilitation of it. And you were asking a question. I was in Obuasi. I was standing by, I don't want to mention the name of the fuel service station. There was this long Kia truck that had come. It had 16 of, you know, these white containers, plastic containers with metals on them. And, you know, so I
that drums.
Yeah. Yes. They were filling all of them in the evening. It was around 7 o'clock, you know, in the evening. So when they finished it, then I asked the gentleman, he said to me, Galafo. That's what he said. That's what it is used for. And then it's not only that. If you go into a lot of these areas, if you see the density of fuel stations compared to the, you know, the vehicular that is there, you then see that the demand is not for your regular vehicles. The demand is not for some industries that are there. What is also happening in there? So that's what we're calling on the chief executive.
Hanabisu went to a place,
yes,
where they literally has set up a small fuel filling station.
Yes, even in Abereninkran, which was hit, there was a fuel station there. So my question I ask, you see, this is the MPA that is able to trace illegal smuggling. This is the MPA that is able to track fuel, you know, right from the point up to. So when this fuel tanker drives all the way and gets into a place that you know that there's no, UMP has not given anybody the right to set up, and they stay there, discharge the fuel, you should be asking questions. You go into some of these communities, they have these big yachts that the tankers will go into. They will discharge the fuel into the Abobo yachts and the Kia trucks, and they will. So the MPA has the power, has the mandate, has the ability to be able to deal with it. I was speaking to my brother Dujita Maklo this morning. He says he's waiting for his team to look at it, but definitely this is going to be one of the last things that we need to do to be able to get this thing. And something, let me tell you, when I came back from Obuasi and I was telling one very influential person in this particular fight, close to government, he was the person who encouraged me that this thing should be done. So there are people in the government themselves who are not happy with this. And so as I'm saying to the 4 of you, we would, if Eduji does not do it, we will go to court. We will be representing a lot of the children that have died, the people who are dying in the pit, the people who are losing their farms, all of us who now currently are paying the brunt of this. Currently, you know that the water that we drink is treated by a chemical that is used in treating wastewater. That is why I agree partially with my brother Kwame Kufu, that for me, the drone technology is the way to go. Set the system in such a way that it is transparent and you are able to, be able to monitor it. If you leave it opaque, you have issues. I would not start with a shoot to kill. I would drop the flares. After dropping the flares, I would go for an indelible ink that would cover you that you cannot clean. And not only indelible, it also has itching powder in it. It would itch you so badly that you have to go to, so everybody else will see you.
Right,
and if you then get
put a bill on a medical.
So I will do it as a phase thing. I will run that for a while. If after that, still this is not going to happen,
let me ask the doctor.
Before.
Let me ask the doctor. If somebody is trying to kill you, you give them eggs to eat. And when they don't vomit, then you try to kill them the next time.
No, I wouldn't.
What is this phased intervention that you're speaking about? If you're going to fight this thing, you have to fight it properly. I keep on telling you, unless you eliminate the threats, all these charitable concerns of yours and trying to phase the interventions and indelible ink so that the medical facilities get burdened.
Why you want us to be burying a lot of people?
Before I come to you, you have the last word.
Okay.
But let me introduce our guest who is joining us for the next topic about why there is agitation over the Bogoso Prestea mine revival by his gold fields. Martin Pebu. He is leading the community to demand certain things. They are actually asking for the license that has been given to, or the concession, so to speak, that has been given to Heath Goldfields to be revoked. He will tell us why they are looking at that. Welcome, Martin.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Would you like to give us a minute's comment on this Galamsey matter you have heard before I let Mausi have the last say?
Okay. Yes. I'm hearing shoot on sight. And I was like, hey, we've gone full circle. In 79, when Rollins took over, people were baying for the blood of corrupt people. Corrupt people. We shot and killed people today. Where are we on the fight of corruption? Look, let's learn from our history. Where are we on the fight of corruption?
Let me interrupt you.
Where are we on the fight of corruption?
You just joined the program.
People.
I don't want you to run the program as if you are running some political issue.
Right.
So it's a policy position we took. If you're here before, you will have heard us say that there's a constitutional right to protection of lives, and that the state should take steps to protect the lives of the citizenry. The argument has then been made that those who are trying to take the lives of people should be eliminated. It's not about shooting on sight. It's about giving notice to stop people from killing their neighbors. So if you're not here,
I heard you.
No,
I heard you.
But then nuance it. Don't put it on propaganda track video.
Oh, don't call it propaganda. That's
what you're doing.
Thank you.
That's what you're doing. I'm also talking about.
You're speaking out of context.
No. It's not for you to determine. Let the viewers determine what is the appropriate context. I didn't interrupt you. Yes, so I'm saying that, listen, Rollins, let the blood flow. Let the blood flow. At the time Rollins was leaving, I'm sure we all know. The Abacha 2 million. Eventually, I didn't see admit that he took the 2 million from Abacha, etc. Right? So this thing, from my experience, look, let's use due process. Okay? Yes, let's use due process. This shoot to kill. They may end up killing your mom or your brother. Then you will come here and start running in the opposite direction. Look, what are we talking about here? You see, if you look at the efforts being made so far to fight the Galamsey, I think that at least there's some energy in it. There's some energy in it. It may not be perfect, but what we need to do as citizens is that we should all join in, do a lot more than those of us on TV here. You know, in 2022, I organized a demo, partly based on corruption and partly on, Galamsey. You, 2022, did you attend my demo? In 2022, did you come to the demo?
There we go. Martin, there we go. This infantile justice argument, please. Very jaundiced argument.
Dr. Ken Ashigbe and Darrell Bosu. I'm sure you know them.
Very jaundiced
They have been
argument
on the subject of Galamsey for many years.
Yes.
As far as they are concerned, on all the metrics,
yes,
we cannot be excited. We cannot feel comfortable because we are not improving. We are getting worse.
Yeah, I'm not saying, oh, far from it. Oh, there's no way I'll suggest excitement, celebration. No, I'm just saying that citizens, to show government that we are not happy about it, we should do something more. And I'm citing an example that in 2022, I organized a demo. Ken Ashigbe didn't even join. So at that time, he hadn't even properly joined this fight.
Really? The fact that I didn't join the demo, the fights that I have done.
Answer. The public knows too well.
So what I'm saying is that
not joining the demo doesn't mean that.
Yeah, so you see, that is boots on the ground, not just sitting in studios and talking. So I'm giving an example.
In any case, myself and Ken, we were on the prayer walk that took us to the Jubilee House to present a petition by the Catholics over the.
You couldn't call it a demo. You see, we called it demo. We faced a people I don't head on. You see, the Catholic Church was being very diplomatic. Call it a demo. Let's go.
That's my opinion. You did demo on the side. Me, I sat with Nanado. And I confronted him in open space.
Right.
You know?
Okay.
But I'm not too sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Martin, I'm not too sure at this stage we can think that, yes, the energy is happening, but the energy is happening, the indicators are pointing south.
Okay, thank you.
And let's switch indicators recently. I think that, you see, the ones you're saying, were they publicly debated? Because I haven't seen recent ability levels.
It's not even been published.
So let's publish them, because look, let's have them published.
I will share that.
No, we want the public one so that the scientists will join in, because this one-sided data is dangerous. Let's publish them. Joy, what does it take that you will do them? Then the scientists will weigh in, and then we go.
Okay.
Right.
All right, yes, Monsi.
Okay, thank you.
Having heard across the table,
yes,
it doesn't look like what you are coordinating, even though it's good, it's any good solution, so to speak.
I will just piggyback on what you just said, having heard from across the table.
Right.
So I'll start with Martin. See, the truth of the matter is that we all agree that significant gains have been made. We are not discounting the fact that there's a lot more that needs to be done.
We all agree.
We all agree.
We don't.
Okay, well, we agree that we've made significant gains.
The point, but we
no problem. But significant gains. Thank you. Thank you. Martin agrees with me. Significant gains have been made. Yet there's still a lot more that can be done. But look, let's not recluse ourselves from all of this. At the end of the day, the most important thing is that every Ghanaian, everybody needs to understand that we all have stakes on this. Whether it is the NPA, whether it is the Ghana Health Service, whether it is the Education Service, whether it is the security services, what is everybody's role in fighting this? Because this is an existential threat. It affects everybody. So you cannot say that this is a fight that sits with the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources alone, and so you are not a part of it, and you sit on the sidelines and you talk. Like he said, you cannot. It is not about sitting in the studio and talking and all of that. Me as an individual, what is my stake in this fight against Galamsey? We are talking about water. Every one of us here drinks water. We all breathe the same air. So when there's something that is a threat to all of us, everybody needs to come to bear. It is not about 9 months sitting in Accra and coordinating raids across the country. If you're a policeman, you are in Anyenini, and you are seeing open pits within habitats, people are digging, and you are not doing anything about it. I mean, these are the conversations that we need to have. These are bigger conversations that we need to have. So for me, and for us at the ministry, it's the same thing that we're saying. And right from the beginning when I was talking, I talked about a holistic approach. Once we are looking at all of the elements that feed into this, we have come up with a very, comprehensive strategy that ensures that we're able to bring all the elements to bear. For us as a citizenry, those of us who sit outside of, the political, space, what do we do? How do we contribute to this? What are the journalists doing about this? Scientists, what are they doing about this? Everybody needs to bring their own to bear so that we do this collectively. At the end of the day, it's about all of us.
From where we sit, the citizens are doing their very best. The leadership is failing.
You just talked about citizens are doing their very best. Dr. Ken mentioned the situation in Anyenini right now. What are the citizens doing?
Excellent. Yeah.
They don't have the power of arms. They're expecting the president. They're expecting the government to do what it must do.
We are talking. That is why we have decentralized some of the things. We have policemen there. Then we have local authorities. We have local government. We have traditional authorities. What is the chief in that community doing?
The chief is the one doing it.
Yes, exactly. So you cannot say government and leadership. The president cannot be everywhere at the same time. That is why we decentralize the roles.
Whose responsibility is it to stop the chief?
Absolutely.
It's the same point we are making, Samson. We are saying the same thing, but in different languages. I am saying every one of us has a stake in this. Okay. We all need to bring our own to bear.
Thank you so very much, Amamausi Manwe Nyafia, who is the national coordinator. That means...
formalizing artisanal small scale.
God is king.
Yes, God is king.
Thank you.
He is always king.
National coordinator, responsible cooperative mining and skills development program. She is in charge of that. Now, I'm going to take a break. Before I do that, I want to read some of your messages. We receive a lot of them. I apologize in advance that we can't read too many of them. Now, somebody who is in the petroleum oil industry, an active player, says this. Says throughput analysis of fuel stations in the Galamsey areas by one of the organizations known for the fuel business. It suggests that over 50% of fuel sent to these sites are consumed for other purposes rather than normal vehicular and other legal activities. MPA tracks every single truck that carries petroleum products. The MPA can really, really help if they want to. Let me read a couple more here. This one, okay, someone is going ahead of us on the Heath Goldfields case and says that they lack the financial capacity and so on. So a lot of messages there, but we'll do that subsequently. Junior Haggai says, brilliant submissions from Kwame Akufo on Newsfile. That's all you wanted to say. Nilante Van Connison says, this is what I have been asking for. We should do this legitimately. I agree with Kwame Akufo wholly. Excellence Rain says, the Blue Water Guards don't have anything to protect themselves. Should the Galamseyers attack them? They are putting people's lives at risk. And why is it that always we must wait for something to happen before they put on their thinking caps? Cecil Kwabna says, it's so obvious that the people behind Galamsey cut across both divides, making it very difficult to nip in the bud. President Mahama needs to be bold to fight it and change the narrative because it's becoming embarrassing for his government. You talk about the president who says he knows them, but will not name anybody. Okay. Isaac Kweku Esel says, forget it. No government can fight Galamsey with such a romanticized approach. People who want to kill us do not deserve to live. Okay, thank you for that. Excuse me. Anfield GH says, the best man I have heard speak on the Galamsey matter ever since I grew up and knew what Galamsey is. You are well spoken, sir, Kwame. Very intelligent and smart. God bless you so much. K. Frimpong says, it's really sad to hear government appointees attack the reverend man of God. Okay. Man of God, for speaking the truth. And strangely, government is quiet and she is even still at post. This attitude of government protecting appointees is sickening. This government is being overly protective of its appointees. Sarkodie says, Galamsey activities have skyrocketed to alarming and unprecedented levels across the country in recent times. Yet some NDC supporters like Dr. Mary Ewusi. Okay. He mentions, you know, the last time I sat here and said, Martin is not what you guys think he is, okay? So deal with your matters and leave him alone. Continue to insist that the illegal mining menace has rather come down significantly. Emmanuel Ejay Bequin says, even if me, an ordinary citizen, nowadays feel tired and numb tweeting about leadership failure, I can't but simply commend independent platforms like Joy and other civil society for keeping up the advocacy on issues like Galamsey, OSP protection, among others. Okay, thanks for all of those messages. Nchibwe Siako says that he wrote almost about the thoughts that Kwame has expressed today in 2022. And I specifically recommended that, what my former Legon Annex A floor mate is recommending. Daytime enforcement of anti-Galamsey measures must be enhanced with a new military police unit that is mandated with rules of engagement applicable to war within areas designated as water bodies, forest reserves, and farmlands. A new military police unit that is mandated with rules of engagement applicable to war. That is the emphasis. And then just two more messages. Kwabna Atabedu says, I have been saying this forever. We need a shoot-to-kill order to fight Galamsey. Wow. Nana Beyin says that, can the government spokesperson there tell us the specific areas and locations where responsible mining is being done so that the media can verify the extent of the degradation there? Go to Angyan Kwanta and see the numerous Galamsey equipment being displayed in the open and sold by the man, the main Bekwai Kumasi road you meant to write. Our leaders aware? Okay, I guess I can pause here. We'll be right back.
Taking a short break here.
Yes, please. You're welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform. And here in Newsfile, we put Ghana first, and my guests who are staying with us to continue with this issue of the Prestea, Bogoso Prestea mine revival and the agitation by some of the community members, Kwame Boafo Akufo of Ekropong Kwapim, Ama Mausi Mawe Nyafia is still here. Martin Pebu joined us a while ago. We still have Charles Oredu on Zoom. Of course, Dr. Ken Ashigbe is with us. And my outfit, as always, is by Habil Scruter. If you're looking for the best kaftans in town, that is where to look at. So go onto their socials. Just type Habils, Habils, Habils Couture, and you find them. You can call them 0200 84 1988. 0200 84 1988. Thank you very much. And the show is brought to you by the candid sponsorship of Bank of Africa, strong as a group and close as a partner. MTN everywhere you go. Ashesi University, educating ethical and entrepreneurial leaders for Africa. Robert and Sons Optical Services, your comprehensive eye care service provider for 33 plus years. My Way Insurance, dial *165# on MTN to join My Way today. Syntex Tanks, it's strong, it's tough. Safari Valley Eco Park, bringing you closer to nature. So, the Bogoso Prestea mine hosts some 5.1 million ounces of measured and indicated resource, fully compliant with SK 1300 standards, offering scale and certainty for long-term operations. 9 million ounces of gold produced since 1912. 1.5 million ton per annum CIL plant, sulfide processing plant, great power access and developed road networks, among other things we can say about the place. Now there's a new company that has been handed. That handed may suggest that, you know, they got it on a silver platter, but they won the bid, is it, for the revival of the Bogoso Prestea mine. And they've started. Just 2 weeks ago, we understood that Trafigura, a world-renowned entity, they had been able to manage to get some financing from them to a takeoff agreement, so that they are going to be mining, and there is a ready market to take the gold and so on. And so when that came up, it was news that was being celebrated. And then some community members started, as it were, escalating their agitation about a number of things. They now have a spokesperson. They have an advocate in Martin Pebu. And they held a press conference. That's what has led us to this discussion. So, first, let's hear Martin Pebu at the press conference that was held this week. Let's hear him quickly. Press conference.
The estimated value of this outstanding procurement is approximately $8,800,000. These procurements and installations were scheduled to occur between the fourth quarter of 2024 and the third quarter of 2025. To date, after the first quarter of 2026, these equipment have neither been delivered to site nor installed within the stated period. Because it's way beyond the time the minister has given them, etc., our demand is that then the minister should go ahead now and terminate so that the property can be put, that's the asset, the mine can be put back on the market for all investors, interested investors, to come and now bid. Yes, so put it back on the market, simply.
Right. Ken, you won't allow me to open the floor before you start your agitation.
Forgive me. So this time I'm wearing my hat as the Ghana Chamber of Mines. So let me now wear that hat. As they are members, and let me just put that, because Heathcote Fields are members of the Ghana Chamber of Mines.
Right. So Doc began a comment even before Martin could finish, you know, the clip that we played to you. And he and Mousy appeared to suggest that there is some ignorance. But what exactly is it? Let's hear Martin again in full. What is the complaint by the community members that you represent?
Okay, there are a number of them. Let's see if I can be brief. Look, the key thing is that they want to see so much investments that there would be jobs and jobs and jobs and jobs. We know that person, right? That's the key number one thing. So it's about livelihoods. This fight is about livelihoods. Look, the community people say they don't care about whoever is mining, as long as the person would mine within the laws, and as long as the person has the technical and financial capacity to mine. But currently, what we have is a situation where Heathcote Fields doesn't have the financial capacity, and that's been demonstrated. Now, let me show. The lease was given to them on December 13th, 2024. And even before this lease, there was an award notification. The award notification listed a number of conditions. I'm interested in this. When it comes to payment of the salaries of employees, severance, etc., it was made a condition precedent. Condition, or now they say we should say precedent. That word, these are the pronunciation that they say we should say precedent.
We have known it to be condition precedent. Go ahead.
Right. So they say, that award notification letter was given in November. I said, pay these things, among others, before we give you the lease. Yet somehow, by December 13th, the Kufuor administration had, MPP lost the elections, right? So it would appear, right, that in a rush, etc., even though Heave Goldfields couldn't meet the preliminary requirements, the minister, Jinapo, that's Samuel, the other Jinapo, went ahead and issued a mining lease in breach of the award notification itself. And so today, as we speak, the Smith contributions and severance are still outstanding. Please, let you see. So I'm using verifiable facts because some of the people behind Heave Goldfields are my people. I know them. But please, this one, I have a connection with the Prestea Bogoso people because I grew up in that area too, actually, right? So, and this time the jobs matter to me most. So I'm using publicly verifiable facts. So I'm saying that the things that they were supposed to do, even before the mining lease would be done, the condition precedents, have not been fulfilled, as we sit here today, have not been fulfilled. Over $3 million is owing in people's Smith contributions and severance, people's future. So that's where I'm fighting from. Good. So now,
so that's liability from the previous, managers of the company.
Yes, FGL.
Okay. Some previous company.
Some even antedate FGL. Okay. Yes, but they agreed that they could shoulder those responsibilities. That's how come the mine was given to them on the promise of investing $500 million. This is a key thing. So the severance pay, etc., was chicken change. Because they say, we got $500 million.
So you settle all these liabilities and then you invest $500 million US.
Yes, including the liabilities and everything.
It's inclusive in the $500 million.
Yes,
okay.
And then, in order to get the mining lease, they presented a revised mine development plan to the ministry. That's what the committee looked at, Minerals Commission, and recommended to the minister that yes, Heave Goldfields should be given the mining lease. In that plan, they said they have a partner company called Yilmaz'ın, a Turkish company, conglomerate. They have many companies. They have mining concessions and things in Russia, Sweden, different countries. As we talk today, Yilmaz'ın is gone into thin air. It turned out to be a ruse. I'm being very charitable. I don't want to go that. If I want to explain that one, all the time will finish. But it turned out to be a ruse. Ruse. It's a serious matter. You know how you and I we've dealt over this. I would be very careful. It's a ruse. Good. So Yilmaz'ın went out of the.
It's possible they had them, but anything can happen. So things have not gone well, and they are no more there. How are you able to say with certainty that was a lie to get the?
Yeah, it was a lie. It was a lie. And I'm saying that if we can create another program, then I'll go into the details. But for now, let me just leave it. Okay, they know, and I know. Yeah, so what happens is that, with Yilmaz'ın out of the window, that's a major adverse event affecting the whole proposal. Because now the people you said would bring 500 million have gone out of the window. Why are you going to raise the money? And so far, from what Heave is doing, you can see that they are not able to raise the money because, Samson, by the end of 2025, they should have spent 150 million out of the 500 million. By the end, and the document is here, I'll share with you, by the end of 2025, they should have spent 150 million. As we sit now, if not spent past 50 million. The verifiable data we have has it at 23.7 million. Of course, by all means, there will be some spendings that we are not aware of. But I'm saying that even if you were to add so far, they don't look to have exceeded $50 million, right? Now, even if they were to exceed, as I said, what they presented to the ministry and they got the approval was that by the end of 2025, they should have spent 150 million. That has been breached. And so we are in the next phase. And so if we say, agrobesa ifri anopa, agrobesa ifri anopa, somebody, a company that couldn't pay the condition precedent. Is there any wonder that now they go into the proper mining lease and they are faltering in the payments? So what's happening? And then, so that's one part, that financial part. Number two, they've gone ahead to collateralize the mine to Trafigura, okay, for $65 million. They didn't seek the approval of the minister before. You see in section 14 of the this Minerals and Mining Act. After this, we just say Act 703 to make it short. You see it in there that you must seek the consent of the minister before. They didn't. They are now chasing it after doing all that. They are now chasing the consent. Look, I'm aware some other companies, okay, Kenashi-based people, some people in the past have been doing it. But you see, like we say locally, just to make the meaning. So the one who is being caught is the one who will deal with, because otherwise...
Is it your understanding that once Yelma went out, the contracts, should die, or that they go out and yet they get Trafigura, and we know Trafigura is major. They get Trafigura and they have an agreement for 700,000 ounces of gold for what they are going to do, and they have money for it. And then you also talk about this very last point you mentioned.
That the bench, they didn't get the minister's no objection.
Yes.
Before.
Is it something you know or you don't know that it's also allowed, for example, in that industry, for you to do things and get ratification for them?
No, the Supreme Court said in the National Lottery case that, look, the courts are the courts are there to implement the laws of Parliament. So, Sam, when we open the law and read section 40, it says don't do it without the prior authorization of the minister. That's why I said conforming the action, right? Just to make the meaning that so many people do things and get away. You, the unfortunate one, when you get caught, then the law comes down heavily on you. So let's read the law to make the point. It's very, very clear that don't do it without the prior authorization of the minister. So if you get into trouble, it's no answer to say, oh, but my peers are doing it, it's all over, etc. Even the Supreme Court, yes, there's a case that I think in one of the Supreme Court cases will come to it. So let's get the section 14. It says, a mineral right shall not in whole or in part be transferred, assigned, mortgaged, or otherwise encumbered or dealt in a manner without the prior approval in writing of the minister, blah, blah, blah. Prior is very clear. So let's not use the argument that, yes, I'm aware, say in practice, yes, but we say the one who is being caught. Then otherwise, we'll go to court and say when a thief is caught, somebody is being charged for a criminal offense, it's his defense to say that, but I'm not the first person, this person stole this, X, Y, Z, you've not prosecuted those people, why are you prosecuting me? And that's the logic. Anybody who says, why?
Until recently, almost all mining concessions were supposed to come with a constitutional language. That was not a subsidiary law.
Excellent.
The constitution itself. Yes. They needed prior approval.
Yes.
Almost all mining concessions didn't have prior approval of Parliament.
Yes.
But they existed. Yes. They worked. The states belatedly did that for them.
Yes.
You don't think that you should think about the substance of what they are doing, that they lost Yelma and now they've gotten Trafigura, who is putting in 65 million US dollars. So they are in the process. Should they not be given the opportunity to do what should be able to help them pay the debts and also revive the mine and provide the jobs? And as we understand, now it is providing jobs for 1,400 direct jobs and indirect jobs, to the locals who are there.
Okay, let me show this. That 1,400, yeah, it's been approximated. When I engaged HIF Goldfields, they gave me 1,357. So it's an approximation. I'm fine, but I'm just telling you that. So it tells you that I've heard the other side. Now let me show you. Those direct jobs, it's what do you call it? That's a total figure, right? Including contractors, and the contractors form the bulk, caterers, etc. They form over 1,000 out of the 1,357. Contractors, etc., form over 1,000.
That's the nature.
I haven't finished. Let me finish. When you have your time, so Sam is showing you what.
Please make notes.
Yes. Now, let me tell you, that mine.
Forgive me.
Properly speaking, is supposed to employ 1,700 direct actual employees. Then you come and add these contractors. So when it comes to direct employees, they are about 275. About 200. It's not 300. Because the figure, I can still remember the figure they projected on their screens for me. 275. Not even 300 employees. Out of potentially 1,700 employees. So you see why the community is baying for their blood. Because they are jobless. They want jobs. They want jobs. They want jobs. They want jobs.
So this number of staff they are supposed to have, is it in the contract and is it mandatory and is it to be gradual or at one go?
Yeah, so as it's supposed to, like I said, naturally it will be gradual as you go on. But the key point we are making is that you said by December 2025, you have spent 150 million. So far, you've not been able to show you've gone to 50. So in contract, right, even though this is not it, I'm just showing they've already breached directly. But even when you've not breached directly, you know in law, we have what we call anticipatory breach. So if you sign that, I'll do X, Y, Z by this time, and let's say a week to that time, it's very clear that if you would never be able to do it in a week's time, you are allowed to terminate.
Is it possible that the state is okay because there's no alternative and this is a company they feel they should be given the opportunity to build up?
No, the state can never be okay. That's how come they are watching citizens, and that's how come we are making it very clear that they should terminate and put their mind back on the market. Let's test. If no better offer comes and they end up getting it, sure. But let's test the market because it will be surprising that we can't find other investors because the people are, in dire straits. In dire straits, there's so much objection, there's so much poverty, penury, etc. They are crying. Oh, Obi, your colleague, went into the community. You hear women crying that, look, they need money to be able to take care of their kids, etc. So it's extremely dire in the community. Then let's go on. So if I haven't taken over the mind, there are issues of, what do you call it? Even just a small point before I go into the mind. So after presenting this 500 million thing, now in practice they've gone to say, oh, in phase one they will spend 205 million. Now that's what they say, after they got the concession, everything, now they're saying somewhere that they will spend 205 million. Oh, that's including the Trafigura 65 million. Now, Sam, there was the first question because it was loaded. I forgot some parts of it. The Trafigura money is not coming wow. No. The way it's been structured, it's not available like that. So to raise that 205 million, they said they will get 100 million from the ECOWAS Bank. It's not yet come. They said they will get 100 million from ECOWAS Bank. So that's the chunk, that's the backbone of this their current finance. It has not yet come. The ECOWAS Bank has not given them that money. So there is no money available. Please. At all, they should come out and show there is no such money. First Atlantic, etc. No. The ECOWAS Bank money is 100 million. It has not come from anywhere. It's so far off. Okay? That's how come. And Sam, look, like I'm making this, I keep saying in all of the advocacy, I know how business works. If not for anything at all, at least I studied, my first degree is in business. Before coming to law school. So I know there are challenges. You think if they had spent even about 100 million, which is close to the 150, I would have declined this kind of brief. I would have said, oh, businesses face challenges, so give them more time. But where they are way below. That's how come under Section 68, the minister had to give them 120 days to remedy. So there is, under the law, Section 68 of the law, 68, it doesn't matter the section number, but I think the key thing is that when there are breaches, the law says the minister should give you 120 days to remedy. He did. And after, still, they've not finished. They've not finished. As I said, they still even owe money that they should have paid before the mining lease was awarded. Such a thing says it all. Such a thing says it all. Now let's come to safety, etc. In August 2025, Richard Kofi Eje, the Chief Inspector of Mines, when he went to inspect, etc., came out of his report. He says, you know, there are two types of mining that they are to do. Surface mining and then underground. The underground one, the mine pit is flooded. He says that the rate at which they are pumping out the water is so slow that it will take years. Sam, as we speak, in their own proposal, they were supposed to have finished pumping out the water, the watering. I think pumping out is easier for us to follow. They were supposed to have finished last year. Where we are today, they have still not finished. Now they are saying end of this year. You can't trust these guys to be able to do it. They were supposed to have finished pumping out the water last year. We said today they've not finished. They are moving it to end of this year. So the Chief Inspector of Mines said, no, this one, it will take them years and years to pump out the water. And if you don't pump out the water well, you will not be able to do efficient mining. One of the levels, 17. So right now, they are around 20. So when I say 17, so this is how it works. You start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as you go down deep. So the last one is level 32, deep down. So they are around 20 now, all right? And it's terribly bad. So the Chief Inspector of Mines, the document is here, he says that the level 17 they are mining it poses a serious risk to lives, the people there. Serious risk. So you are jeopardizing the lives of people. That's the Chief Inspector of Mines, his own report. Said that lives are at risk. It's hazardous. That's his own words, etc. So it's a very dangerous thing. That's how come the people have looked at it and they think that, look, looking at this, yes, we should be able to terminate. The law allows for termination and then put it back on the market. Let's see.
You mentioned that they are seeking to get in excess of $205 million for this phase of the project. Mm-hmm. So imagine they are able to raise that within the year or so. Will there still be a problem?
Oh, Sam, thank you. I say a year or so from now. How long can we wait? Are they the best? So you give it to the best available. If we put the mine back, that's what I keep saying. If we put the mine back, they should come and rebid. If it turns out that theirs is the best, that's it.
Okay. Now hold on for me. Yeah. I think Ken is teaching, but Ken.
No. So
yes, Kwame.
I would do the.
You have made quite a bit of notes.
Yes.
These are genuine concerns by the community, right?
Yes. It's important for me to address these matters systematically. And in that regard, it's also important for us to look at the historical narrative. In speaking, my friend on my left does not speak to the historical background of the mine. It is very important for you to tell the members of the public that the earlier operators of the mine left behind some debts.
We said it.
No. Let me just speak. I have adjectives enough. Now you have these miserable and drowsy arguments, permit me to say so, in which you continue to lambast. And in a community of reading men, we will not allow you to make these statements. It will be painfully unfortunate if we were to let it go amiss. Yes, it will be painfully unfortunate. Now the first point you have to make is that these people left behind $87 million debts. They left $25 million to VRE. They left $25 million in salaries. These were the burdens, the Heath, which is an indigenous company, moving into an area which has always been controlled by Western boys, came to. Now, it is correct to say that one of the necessary conditions after the notification was for them to post a bond of $50 million. That bond was posted. It is correct to say that part of the conditions pursuant to the notification was for them to commence negotiation with respect to workers' salary within 7 days, to complete within 7 days. But it is incorrect for my friend to say that they breached the agreement. The operative thing there was that they should start making the payment within 7 days. And as of the date as we speak, over $17.5 million has been spent on paying salaries of workers who were there before they took over. So it is incorrect for you to propagate and propagandize the general public that they were in breach of the issuance directives, and yet they were given the license. It is wrong. You then speak about the Umading's exit. Now, there are further pertinent matters. When this matter began, by virtue of the fact that the boys who had it before, Blue Gold, FGR, were not happy, they began arbitration proceedings and also started issuing injunctions. Of course, Umading was not going to put money in that position because they were worried about the integrity of their investment. So they pulled out. But at that particular point in time, Trafigura stepped in. Trafigura's financing was part of the plans put to the minister before the license was issued. So Trafigura is not a hidden crab. It was in the mix. It's important.
So Yelma was not a lie.
Was not a lie. They moved away. It was an unsigned equity conversation. Unsigned equity conversation. Today we have a revenue-backed conversation, documented, backed and tracked in the form of Trafigura. So it is a completely distinct and comparative process. It's important for Martin to recant and to tell the general public that Trafigura was part of the index and the metrics before the license was issued. But he keeps it out. He speaks about this $500 million. The $500 million is not a check to be issued on day one. It is a phased project over 10 years. Now, one thing that he keeps out very eloquently, but which is painful, is the fact that for 164 days, because of injunctions which were issued as a result of litigation, Heath Mining was not able to have proper access to the sites. When the operating permits got to them in December 2025, they started working. Between December 2025 and as we speak today, they have put in about $167.5 million. And yet Martin, with his limited knowledge of the matter, speaks to $23.75 million. He does not have access to
check. I had understood that it was 150 million or so.
No,
it used to be 165.
167. That's what they've put in. They've done about 82% of phase one of the $205 million, even in 4 months, because they're in a hurry to work the mine.
You said who was procuring injunctions that initially stalled their ability to have...
The Blue Gold boys.
Blue Gold.
They put out injunctions. It went all the way to the Supreme Court.
But they left.
They left, yes. But they were not happy to have left. And therefore, because of the injunctions, they could not have access to the site. When he speaks of flooding, for example, it's important to understand that the minister was very categorical that there should be preservation and integrity of the site. So during this period, they had to deploy capital to save the mine from caving in. So even when injunctions were pending, emergency and interim measures were taken to ensure that dewatering began in the place. They have Knight and Peasel, which is an independent third world-class environmental thing for the dewatering, which is on the site. So these matters that he makes allusion to, for example, he speaks of an August 2025 report. Martin, August 2025 is almost a year old. For you to pick an example which is back in the day and to make it look as if it is in existence today is completely misleading. When that position was taken, it was remedied and they have been pumping water out and they're dewatering. If it wasn't so, the minister will have revoked the license. So you have to speak to existing matters. It's improper, untidy, tedious, burdensome, and very incoherent and inaccurate on your part to pick up little things which happened in the past and present it as if they are ever happens or happenstances today. It's improper.
But those indications of initial failures and
I wouldn't call them initial failures.
Breaches
they were initial inheritance. No, they were initial inheritances. Let's keep the distinction. Initial inheritances, which these people are fastidiously and in hard-working, methodical, and proper manner, fought initial inheritances. Remember these inheritances that they took, these unfortunate inheritances, were the reasons for the revocation of the license that was held by the previous owner. So these are initial inheritances which are burdening them and which they are trying to alleviate. These are not workings or things that they created.
You know, people have argued that indigenous companies don't seem to be ready to take on this kind of, you know, capital-intensive business. And this is our new policy by the government, that our mines will be owned by indigenous people.
It is not proper in this situation. These are people who have shown 82% of performance in the first phase of the 205 million. 82%. It's remarkable. Martin's figures are figures he's put on his table from home. I don't know where he put the figures.
He refers to a program by
who?
Saying, which I followed, where there were complaints. But it's
an orchestrated crime.
To be fair, on that program,
let me make the point.
On that program, I heard people talk about their severance having been paid and so on, but they were still unhappy because they were looking for a lot of speed for work and opening up.
Clearly,
you know, they were talking about there's no good roads around.
Let me just say this to you. These people in charge of heath mining have just had 4 months on the sites. Just 4 months. But Martin takes away the 164 days, which is a crucial deficit, which is a crucial omission, which is a crucial remover from his argument. These people have had 164 days taken from them. And even in that time, they deployed capital to preserve the mine.
Did the terms make provision for this 160 days that is lost? Because Martin looks at it from that point.
No, he doesn't.
Where the conditions precedent had not been fulfilled.
The conditions precedent were fulfilled. And I've made that clear. The 50 million bond was posted. They commenced Can I finish? I didn't interrupt you. They commenced and completed negotiations within 7 days. Then they commenced payments within 7 days. There was no breach. Martin does not read the language properly and in the process reaches incomplete and improper conclusions. That is his burden. It's not my song. It is his problem. Now, let me get on with my arguments. Now, he speaks of decollateralizing the mine to Trafigura. It is improper again. Martin has come here with a litany of mistakes and it's my duty to correct it. Now, the structure or the financing structure of Trafigura has worked into it that the collateralization of the asset is subject to consent by the minister. But in convenient blindness, Martin does not see it. Under the circumstances, this collateralization agreement should collapse immediately because Trafigura is aware that without the consent of the minister, it will not work. Interestingly, in putting forward the mining development program, the MDP, for purposes of this lease, these things were put before the government. So the government is aware that this is what they want to do. But you cannot approach the government without an executed agreement. You have to approach the government with an executed agreement for the consent to be given. You can't walk there without an executed agreement. It's a condition precedent.
He is referring to law.
Yes. But you have
the consent must be prior.
No.
And not after.
You can have a dull and dead agreement without effect. That agreement which has been made has not gone into effect. It becomes legally valid, it becomes legally enforceable, it becomes legally effective when the minister gives his consent. But you have to go to the minister and say, we want you to consent to this agreement. You can't walk to the minister with bullfruit or cake. You have to walk with him with an executed agreement. But that agreement is Dallas-led. It is the minister who will oxygenate it with his consent. Martin says he's done business. I didn't read business in school, but I know that the document will have to be oxygenated in law by the minister's consent. So when he speaks of this collateral argument, I beg to differ. Then he speaks about the staff on the sites. It is important for us to understand that the previous owners had 700 workers on the site. The people were not paying for blood. Suddenly, these people who do not have money walk into Accra, printed T-shirts, come all the way from Bogoso. One has to begin to wonder who is sponsoring this project. Whether it's a propaganda project, whether it's a project to ensure that other people will have a second bite at the cherry in order to take the money from an indigenous Ghanaian entity that has put money into the business, one cannot tell. But it is remarkable.
But let's not be quick to read motives.
I am not reading motives. I am deducting logical inferences from the facts before me. In the past, they had 700 workers. Today they have 1,000 something. But Martin says people are paying for blood.
Martin is saying that there ought to be 1,700 out of which how many should be direct?
So that's 1,700
must be direct. But the 1,400, the majority is indirect. And only about 300 is direct. That's
Martin is entitled to speak to figures in the same way the local professors.
They gave it to me, your clients.
No, wait and let me finish speaking. You are entitled to speak to figures in the same way the local professors. Speak. I will not take that from you. My duty is to inform you that if in 4 months this is what they've done on the back of monumental losses occasioned the mine by the previous operators, they are working towards reaching a project. They're working towards reaching a target. They're working towards reaching fusion. And it's too early in the day for you to condemn them as if resurrection day has come. It's not judgment day yet for these people.
They are calling for termination.
Yes, but that termination is not by way of press conferences. So unfortunately, it's not by way of press conferences held by Martin and his self-serving people. No. Termination is based on the Attorney General's advice, the Mineral Commission's position. And these people have not found fault to the way the mine is being run. This effort by Martin is not founded on the record. It's not founded on the records. It's not founded on the facts. He's spoken about these things, and I have to say to him, Martin, you have to look at the facts. These people have the technical ability, they have the financial ability. For people who have delivered, let me tell you this. These guys were so indebted to VRA that VRA had disconnected light to the site. So they had no power. They abandoned the site for 2 years. And every day the mine was getting flooded. When Heath came, they were drawing out about 10 million liters of water a day. And they were doing this even when injunctions had been placed on them. And the state had decided that it was essential that they keep the mine in space. These were not people who were downgrading. These were people who were upgrading. These are indigenous people who want to be sure that the mine will work. And it's too early in the day for my preliminary observation and my argument here for you to sit on that high stool and make fundamental and factual judgments which are without feet. Completely misguided, completely misconceived. But because you have a platform, you said it so far, even the devil has heard you. Even the devil has heard you because you have a platform. But on this table among community of reading,
go into the details of the 167 million. Show us the 167.
I should show you the one. Did you show me the 23 million? I have showed you. I have told you they put 35 million CDs into capital. They put 35 million into capital rehabilitation. They put 17.5 million into debt. 65 million debt facility secured from Trafigura. And Trafigura is a debt secured. It's secured. And keep one thing in mind. When the 700,000 ounces of gold is sold to them, this mine is going to pull in about $3.something billion, which will in turn be able to work the mine and to push it forward. These figures you have conveniently kept out of the public forum. You open the Constitution and in scattered passages and deductive conclusions, reach the conclusion that this is not working. But it is wrong, Martin. That is not how it should be done. An argument of this nature. No. You have trivialized it. You have trivialized it by making it a propaganda enterprise.
Oh.
You have trivialized it by even alleging that the grounds or the basis for the issuance of the license was defective.
Yes.
When you're factually and legally wrong.
Okay.
If you think that the license was issued without compliance with the regulatory guidelines, why haven't you gone for judicial review? It should be easy for you to do that.
You don't know if he's contemplating.
Well, he should have done that, knowing Martin, he is very itchy, he is very quick on these things. Why hasn't he done that? Because he knows it's not the truth. But he's happy to propaganda. Because in propaganda, there's no speed to the limits that you dream.
Okay, so though Martin spoke for about 20 minutes, you have done some 15 minutes. I want to shift to Ken and Mausi. So in the next minute, what else do you want to say?
I want to be able to say to you that we have done more than $150 million even before the first year of operation has come. That is what I want to be able to say to you. I want to be able to say to you that none of the conduct exhibited by Heath on the site has caught the eye or the anger of the regulatory authorities, and that the only effusions and condemnation coming to this thing is the self-serving cabal of Martin and his boys. And that is not grounded in fact and law. That is what I want to be able to say. Finally, I want to be able to add, and it is important that this thing goes out loud and clear. The $500 million, Martin, if you give me an eyeball to eyeball, is not money that is arriving on day one.
But
let me finish. I just want your eyeball. I don't
no, you don't. This is needless. I don't said so.
No, you didn't say so.
I said it.
You made it look as if it's not something that will even happen.
You're not listening.
I listened to you. You nuanced it and made it look as if it's not something that's even happening. But that is wrong. That $500 million is spread over 10 years. And we're well within target. Okay? It's well within target.
It's 5 years. You've already read it.
No.
I will read it.
No. It's within 10 years. It's within 10 years.
It's not read a document.
It's within 10 years.
It's 5. Sam, I will read out when you come back to me. Look, I'm going to read a page.
All right. So, Ken, the statement that accompanied the Trafigura $65 million said that Heath Goldfields completed the first gold pour at Bogoso Prestea in February 2026, marking the restart of production following a 24-month shutdown. He was talking about the injunctions and all of that. It's a 24-month shutdown. That's 2 years.
Yeah.
Within just 3 months of commencing production, Heath Goldfields exceeded its capital raise milestones, reinforcing the strength of its operational and financial strategy. The revival has created over 1,400 direct and indirect jobs and engaged more than 15 local contracting firms. What do you know from where you sit?
Well, Samson, just a minute.
Thank you.
Forgive me. There's just one last sentence I want to make. We're talking about the dewatering. Heath plans to complete dewatering by August 2026.
That's not what they
just
told
a couple of months away.
No, they told me December. Your people told me.
Listen, I don't know.
December.
They are not my people.
Yes,
they are not my people.
Oh, you are here because
no. They are not my people. Let me say
they are here
because we are a community of reading men. We are a community of reading men. Let me say this to you. Let me say this to you. Let me say this to you.
Stop.
Let me say this to you. Heath intends to complete dewatering by August 2026.
And I was told
and if you are even told December, why do you sit in the studio and keep on saying that they will do it in many, many years?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
That's bad faith on your part.
I think that, you see, Martin and I plead. I think sometimes, you see, our mining industry, it needs a lot of understanding.
Yeah.
Today, you see, now you will say so. When it comes to Galamsey, because that's where you are paid.
No.
That is where you are paid.
Martin, but he's being factual.
No, it's fair.
Martin, he's being
now you are paid. That's why you are saying
Galamsey is an illegal. It's an illegal
activity. Right. You cannot compare Galamsey to
my members. But I'm saying to you that and that's what I declare. But Martin,
legal
my dealing in Galamsey, I do it from the point of view of policy of my being a professional. Do not attempt to think that because I work for the chamber, if something is going wrong, I won't say.
You spoke about Galamsey over a decade before you got into the chamber. Please go ahead.
I don't think you want to get into that space with me. Because you see, I'm just saying that it's true.
You'll be conflicted to
No, I'm not. How can I be how would you put...
They are your members.
How would you put Galamsey? No. So that's my position. There's no conflict. That is the position I come from. So I'm not saying it. I'm not
the conflict.
No.
Ken, your members, you are entitled to put the facts about your members' situation.
And again,
so go on.
Yes.
Go on.
You see, so much I'm just saying to you that some of these things we need to understand. You know, and me, I am doing a lot of training myself, learning myself so far as the mining is concerned. Because some of the things, if you use the way we deal with other things, you might miss them. Again,
so tell us how he's wrong.
So a typical example is where he starts talking about the jobs and saying contract. But contract mining, the model you run your mine with, it's your model. You know Goldfields. Goldfields were the people who brought EMP in. It was not as if government asked them, because that's the model they wanted to run. You know, and there are several factors that you would take. But the first point I want to make is that, you see, this Bogoso Prestea mine is a difficult mine.
Yeah.
It's really a difficult mine. It's a sulfide ore. How to handle it. It's the reason why you find out that several people have gone into that and the challenges have been there. So for me, the first bit, again, and this one is just wearing my heart as Ghanaian. And Sam said, again, government, it's not as if government wants all mines to be run by Ghanaians. Government is not on the bit of nationalizing mines. What government is encouraging is for Ghanaians to also own mine, and I think that differential.
Yeah, but that information has gone on in the international.
No, but we need.
And I think Ghana is getting a little flack.
Yeah, but that needs
probably we need to clarify that.
That needs to be correct, and I think it's something that I encourage government itself to be more forceful about, because that's how it's being read, and unfortunately it paints us in the bad light.
Yeah.
But if you look at again what it is that government intention, it's about getting Ghanaians to own mines. But definitely it has to be done. Other people will be there. You go to mature jurisdictions like Australia, for example. South Goldfields, which is the South African, they have 4 mines in Australia. So it's good to also get your people also being there, but it's not. So, but again, in this particular situation, I think that even if you take away the fact that it's an indigenous mine, we need to give Heath Goldfields an opportunity to be, because you see, with all the issues that happened, if you want to effectively say it, it is 4 months that they have been in operation. And so the model they will choose to be being able to ramp up even 250 of these people, that's a good one. And if you also take the fact that they have had to clear all the debts that are sitting there before now get into this.
The debts, have they cleared, or Martin?
No. So definitely you're not going to be able to clear everything at a go. Yeah. Because you see, the thing is that one of the things that was also a challenge for them was the fact that because of the injunctions that were brought, and bear in mind, this was not injunctions that were brought on Heath Goldfields. It was because, you see, government had taken the lease out of FGR. So FGR then was taking government to court. And because of that, what if you are in any relationship with anybody to be able to raise money for them to come and partner you, and there's that uncertainty, definitely that challenge will happen. Yeah. And you see, when the Chief Inspector of Mines make a pronouncement in August, he gives you some time to correct it. If the same Chief of Mines sees that an operating permit is given to you in December, then it means that the thing that happened in August has been sorted out, is the reason why you've been giving that. You see, so we need to put some of these things into perspective. And again, the issue about the fact that it's jobs that we want. Great, it is important that we should want jobs. For 2 years, what was happening? For all those times that came, what was happening? And so if we have an opportunity where somebody is doing the things they're doing, it's important that we support them. The reason why
it's also important to note that the community members, there's widespread,
I agree.
Widespread, dissatisfaction.
Completely, I agree. And it's the reason why
they feel a lot is delayed.
So all we need to do, again, for me, and that's the thing I've told the people of Heath Goldfield, it's a lot more explanation of the things that are happening. And there are some important and great things that are happening. Because you should bear in mind, they talk about the fact that we need to get the underground mine. The reason why you've not ramped up your numbers so far as employment is because that mine for 2 years,
it's not running.
A very wicked thing was done to us by allowing the mine to flood to that particular point. So what now you need to do, there's an engineering feat that is going on in there. If you look at the volumes of water that is being moved out, it is water that you cannot just move out. When you move out, you have to make it goes through treatment before you release it into the environment.
I heard some of the committee members say that the pace of work is too slow.
It's 10 million liters a day.
It's too slow.
And that's what is the definition of
the woman? There was a woman who was saying that the company before used to have a bus that would take their kids to school. Now that is no more there. Their kids have to walk in the dust.
The company that abandoned which one?
You see, when we say all of those
the
things,
asset was obsolete for 2 years.
Yes, people would have to realize where we are coming from. So this is not your typical, like if you take the EMP diamond, for example, this is a mine that is running that you go running it. This is a mine in this particular situation. This is a mine that you have to go down and save the mine. So what it is that Heath is doing is that they are now mining the surface pit. So that then that's what they poured. But then the most important thing, the big asset there is the underground. But the underground, you have to salvage it first before you are able to, you know, then get into it. So that's been done. But again, on the issue of collateralization, again, you know, in this industry, I hear Martin reading all the laws and all of that. But you see, collateralization of mining leases for debt finance is standard. That's something, and the interesting thing as we speak is that the Minerals Commission, it had to go to the Minerals Commission, go to a board committee, and all of that work has been done, you see? And so, because I think, I'm sure I am not the lawyers and the, you know, but before you are able to go take to the minister, you can't take to the minister something that has not been finalized.
Yeah.
So that when he gives you the permission, then by the time you go, the person who should do it for you, but the person who has given you the money, the challenge then would be, the risk would be with him.
Yes.
Because the only point at which that particular thing would happen is when the, how do you call it, the consent has been given. So that is factored in. But for me, I think the big thing I want to say to everybody is that yes, it's important.
The community.
The community.
They're being unreasonable.
Oh no, I won't say, you see, I won't say that. But again, it's not the entire community.
They are misinformed.
No, I think it's not the entire community. There are poor people in the community.
At least those who
genuinely, because they want something. So too, there's a lot of things that have to happen. We need a lot of information to them. They need to. We need to let them realize the fact that where we are coming from, you know, it's a tough place that we've come from. And also, we need to also look at the work that has been done now. You see, when somebody attempts to ridicule the competence of the people who are running into these places, this is where me as a Ghanaian, I get upset. Currently, as we speak, the mining industry in Ghana has 99.4% indigenous Ghanaian people running it.
Martin hasn't done that.
No,
the capacity issue they raised is about finance.
No, they've raised technical. They've raised the issues of technical.
Let me look at their statement again.
People have raised the issues of technical and all of that. No, I'm not saying no. But again, I'm not. You see, when I'm discussing, I'm not discussing only what you say. I'm discussing a lot of the things that are in the market. The people who are running this business, they have come from. They are people of, you know. They're great Ghanaian guys. A lot of the mining operations
Martin said, the evidence presented unequivocally demonstrates that Heath Goldfields Limited lacks the technical competence, financial capacity.
Martin, how would you say that?
Required to manage the.
How would you say that?
Yes, let me. The chief inspector of mines says you are not able to pump them.
Martin, I think that argument is flawed.
Let me complete it.
No, that argument is flawed. We've gone past that. We've gone past that.
No. Let me. It's the chief inspector. He said.
Yeah, but that was in August 2025.
No, as far as I'm aware, you are not a technical person that the chief inspector. Let me see this. He's the chief inspector of mines.
That was in August 2025.
It's not
when the chief inspector made that report in December 2025, they got an operating permit.
They got an operating permit because they were given some time to remedy. 120 days to remedy all of those. And it was after that, that's the operating permit.
Let's make this correction. The permit is for surface, not underground.
Martin, you need to understand how the mining space works before you can make these arguments.
I think that is very, Martin, I will plead with you. You see, it's the reason why you people say you are learned. You say you are learned. There's some reason why.
Don't be too sarcastic.
No. There is a reason why.
There's a reason why Martin says he's learned. There's a reason why Martin says he's learned.
No. There's a reason why I have ING before my name. There is a reason why my engineering number is 02880. So I'm saying that some of these things, you need to understand them. A chief inspector of mines has issued an instruction. When he issues the instruction in August, there are things that have to be done to remedy them.
Yep. That's right.
Then based on that, he goes to take a decision to grant an operating permit. Yes, it is right. You will give you grant an operating permit for the surface because you are dewatering.
Yes.
Dewatering.
You see, it's not because he thinks you are incompetent, that's why he's not giving that to you. Yeah. You see, and so you don't,
I have I have Mousy ready.
So let me just round up. I'm saying that Martin has cause to say we want to get the community people, but I think that for all of us as Ghanaians, what we need to do is to support Heath Goldfields, because I think in 4 months, the things that they have done, you see, when they say that. So when we keep on making this dede, it would make the issue, what we want them to do for the community.
The money run away?
It would make it difficult for them.
Let me say this, Samson, with respect, and Mousy, with respect. It is very instructive to note that for purposes of the community interaction, Heath intends to announce its community interaction, the mining development program, in May 2026. May is where? Just next door.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Mousy, you have been itching to speak. Charles, I know you are there.
Everybody has touched on bits and pieces of what I was going to say. Right. But, I'm very lucky. I just want to establish that, look, before the mining lease would have been granted, you have to determine technical capability, you have to determine your financial capacity. And we went through a legal tendering process, and it was based on that Heath Goldfields was selected. Martin was talking about
He's saying that, sorry to cut you just too quick, he's saying that when the Heath Goldfields thing was happening, was election time, so he said the Aboriginal rushed and gave it to them.
Well, the fact of the case, which are available to me, was that they went through a legal...
The contract to an NDC person?
They went through a legal tendering process. That should be fundamentally. No, but Martin, fundamentally,
it's not political link.
No, I think you're doubling into a different conversation. Yeah, no, so fundamentally, we went through a legal tendering process, and an entity, a legal entity, was selected. Now, again, like I said, they've all talked about all the things I was going to talk about, because we talked about the injunction for which the 164 days of injunction for which Heath Gold was not able to source the funding and all of that. For any right-thinking person, if I'm putting money into something and there's a lot of noise about it, definitely I'll take a step back. And so we understand where all of these conversations came up. And we had a meeting where the Chief Inspector of Mines had presented his report, where we said there were some breaches that they needed to remedy. We had given them 120 days. Some of the breaches they were supposed to remedy within 45 days. And all of that had been corrected. If you talk about Martin, please let me land.
Yes,
if you talk about the salaries, the information available to the Commission and to the Ministry is that they have an agreement and a standing MOU with the Ghana Mine Workers Union, and these salaries or these wages are being paid in phases. And so we understand that some have been paid, but we are also clear that there are still some outstandings that need to be sorted out. In terms of the collateralization, the tracks that they have, that says that what's the legal term for it? When they default with the payment, sorry, I'm losing my words. But assuming Heath Gold is defaulting the payment, the repayments will not be taken from the asset, but the Eureka Holdings, which is the holding company for Heath Gold. So for the ministry or at the commission's level, where we stand today, they have presented, like Lawyer Kufu said, they have presented their proposition to the minister for him to take a decision. As it is today, it's not a fait accompli. So the minister has a right to say he can revoke the license or not. But to be fair to the company, it's only 4 months in. It's only 4 months in. There are debts that they have inherited, which they need to service. There's a dewatering that we're all speaking about, and the dewatering takes time and it's expensive. And this is a point that Dr. Ken was talking about. The mining space is a bit complicated, and so you need to have all the facts of the matter before you speak to some of the things. Because you see, if we are talking about they are doing the surface mining today, if they don't do the dewatering, what happens? And your government also wants to ensure that there's continuity of the assets. This is one of the biggest assets we have in the country today. Government wants to ensure that there's continuity of the assets. Government wants to ensure that people have jobs. And so if you don't have a standing order in place that allows a company to run this as it is today, what are you doing? People are complaining about jobs. We were talking about Galamsey earlier. It is the same thing that feeds into this. And so if you leave the asset to be obsolete for 2 years and people are going in there illegally, they are going underground, and they are doing all sorts of things, and people are dying, whose fault does it become? And so the more people have shown technical capability, let them do that. Trafigura is not a backdoor wayside agents put in money into this. And so let's allow the process to go through. Just yesterday, the board legal committee met on the same matter to review and present their findings to the minister for him to take a decision. And that is where we are.
Let me read something.
Okay. So you are confirming that there are concerns that have led to a meeting that will then be communicated.
I'm not saying concerns. I'm saying that per the process, they have presented their agreement to the minister for him to give a no objection.
Okay.
Now that goes through a process, and that process is ongoing as we speak.
All right.
And so it is not a fait accompli. The minister will take a decision after the findings have been presented to him.
But there are no intentions to proceed the way the group that Martin leads is suggesting.
What is their suggestion?
He said terminate and bring in new.
But you see, it is not for the group to make that decision. It is for yes, it is a procedural process, and we need to put all the facts of the matter to bear. There's a Minerals Commission who is the regulator, and the Minerals Commission needs to make a recommendation.
As far as you are concerned,
yes,
the facts don't support
that. I would say that from where I sit, I would say that maybe Heath Goals needs to engage the community more, so that the community is aware of what exactly it is they are doing, because they are saying that they have all of these plans in place. They have a community engagement,
and that's why I was
they want to be passing the in May. So maybe they should engage more. But I'm also aware that they are engaging the traditional authorities. They are engaging
some things
the
are
local
really
government.
technical, and I understand, of course, they are very technical. And he says that dewatering should not be done in a short time.
Yes.
Because of the threat of a collapse.
Yes.
So even the dewatering, we may not have to rush them in the way they are doing. So that gets to the point about explaining to those who are those who are seeing just a few tracks.
So they didn't know that dewatering should not be done in a short time.
No, Martin, you are getting it twisted.
You are getting twisted.
Martin, you are getting it twisted. No, you are getting it twisted.
You are getting twisted.
Martin, you are getting it twisted.
You are getting it twisted.
This is why
you are getting twisted.
And you see, it's the same thing.
Let me go.
First of all, when you pump out the water, you need to treat the water before you discharge.
Thank you.
You need to treat the water before you discharge. This is not a one-off thing.
The very important intervention. Let's go to Charles for his brief comments, and then we'll take a break. And yes, Charles, thank you for joining us once again on this. Hello, Charles.
Yeah, Samson.
Well, what do you make of the discussion so far, and this mineral sector and government's policy of wanting to allow more indigenous people to handle? And we are talking about where there are claims about lack of capacity, technical, financial, and all of that leading to some of these.
Yeah, so I support most of the points that have been raised by the earlier discussants, probably with the exception of lawyer Martin Pebu. The reason being that one, government's desire, to see to it that most Ghanaians do have access to these mines to mine. I think that it's the right direction. It's something that was started under the previous administration, and then it's continuing. I think it's something that we need to encourage. Saying this also does not mean that such mines are given to people who are incapacitated. I would want to align myself with really solid and serious Ghanaian companies that are ready to do the job. Now, if you look at the issue at hand, Bogoso Prestea mine. Yes, it's been in operation since 1912. And with all these years, look at the contribution that they've made to the Ghanaian economy. You can talk about the investments that they've made there and all that. So this new company comes in and then promises to, inject this capital. And then, Samson, it's good that the earlier discussants have cleared this issue of Martin, alluding that the minister then, Honorable Abu Jinapo signed that agreement immediately after NPP losing the election. We all know that it doesn't take a day or 2 days to sign these kind of contracts. It takes a long time. You have the chief inspector of mines, you have EPA reports, you have assessments, stakeholder consultations, and all that before these processes are signed off. So that cannot be correct. What I wish that the company does is to engage more with the people. I represent people. In my constituency, it's a mining constituency. This is where we have the Achim mine. You know, in Ebrim, we have a Zinjin mining company here, you know, doing wonderful business in the Achim mine. It's about engagement. Be transparent. Let people know what you are doing. It shouldn't be people, discussants here, or Kwame Akufu telling us that next month the people plan to start a stakeholder engagement process. That means there's something amiss somewhere. The people should know right from day one. They should be engaged. They should know what is happening. Because if they are not carried along, there's no way Heat Goldfields will be successful. There's no way, because they are a key stakeholder in this whole thing. This Trafigura, I Googled Trafigura last night when I got to know that we'll be discussing this issue. And they are a big player in this business. You know, you can tell that they have what it takes, you know, to support whoever they plan to support. So I wasn't surprised when Heath Goldfields decided, you know, to go to them, and then they also are acquiescing and then coming on board. Let's support Ghanaian businesses, you know, to operate. Once they do well, we all get the benefits. The people in Bogoso, my advice to them will be that they should just take it easy. This new company is coming on board. I'm sure that probably in times past, they reneged a bit in terms of the stakeholder engagement. Now they are coming on board. All the people who were not captured in the earlier, in terms of recruitment, with time, once they expand, they all get on board. So that the community, Bogoso, you know, starts functioning properly, and then people also, the socio-economic development of the community also grows. When I read from Martin that the company lacks, or the company lacked technical competence, I was like, how? How is that possible? Because most of the people managing this business, especially at the level of the management, are Ghanaians who have gone through the mill, you know, with other mining companies. They know what they are about. They did say that the tailings, the TSF, that's the tailing storage facility, was full, and that, and I was thinking of, because if the TSF is full, something, what it means is that any slurry, any leftovers that are pumped into the capacity, into the storage tank, will seep into the community, and people will start drinking cyanide and then mercury. I did some checks, and then I'm told that that's not what is happening. So I don't know where our senior lawyer, you know, got this information from. I think that we need to, you know, support this company. The company, of course, will not allow them to do things that are not supposed to be done. EPA is there. EPA will ensure that if they are doing something that is against the environment, EPA will call them to order. The Minerals Commission is also there to ensure that right things are done. At the end of the day, once the Ghanaian companies flourish, we all benefit.
Thank you. That's Charles Oredu. And I said I'm taking a break. When we return, we have 30 minutes extra. We're going to look at the issue of the Dumsor or Dumsor. Are they spinning? Is government spinning on Dumsor our reality by saying that this is some Dumsor that is going on? But before we do that, it's only fair that I get Martin about a minute of some comments before we.
Yes, so Sam, you've said across board here that the minister was happy the 120 days notice to remedy. The things have been remedied. That's why the minister gave a license. No, listen, the minister says he's now doing an assessment. So the license he gave in December 2025. It's not linked to the meeting of the remedies. So let me read. He says, look, we note your request for a determination on whether HIV Goldfields has sufficiently remedied the breaches identified in the 120-day notice issued under Section 68 of Act 703 to warrant their continuous occupancy of the Bogoso Prestea mining leases. So in our answers, we wish to inform you that the Minerals Commission, as part of its routine regulatory oversight, is currently conducting a comprehensive technical assessment of the mine, designed to determine if the actions being undertaken by HIV Goldfields meet the legal and operational requirements stipulated in the notice to remedy.
This is dated when?
1 second. 10th April 2026. So as of now, so he says that the 120 day he has not made a determination. You were here happily singing that
yes,
he was
I
happy.
was. Yes.
He says he hasn't made a determination.
I am saying that if it was so bad, the license will have been revoked.
No,
okay.
But so now,
all right.
Oh, right now.
Yes, go ahead.
You have something else to say?
Yes, by all means, plenty of things. You said 165 million. You know, he counted the Trafigura money as
because it's a committed financing. It's committed.
We are thinking
it's committed financing.
So let me show you. Money sunk in there.
It's committed financing. You can't put 165 million in on one day. It's committed. It's there. It's tracking. It's there. It's committed financing.
Gone in any event.
Where is it gone?
Okay.
It's committed financing.
Okay.
That's what.
So yeah, my production tells me I need to go to the break right now. Okay. We take a break. When we return, Richmond Roxon, Esquire, spokesperson and the Director of Communications, Ministry of Energy and Green Transition, joins us, of course, Charles Oredu, who is the MP for Ebirim and former High Commissioner of Ghana to South Africa, is also still with us. We'll be right back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform. You're welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform. And here in Newsfile, we put Ghana first. So, there are issues. Many of you in your areas, you are facing power problems. But it's being explained away. We've heard the president, we've heard the ministry say that there's an upgrade of some 12 power transformers across 6 primary substations. We're talking even in Accra, but there are others in Kumasi and elsewhere who are really suffering, you know, a situation they believe is Dumsor. But the ministry and the president tell us that is not the case. Let's get some answers. So, Richmond Roxon, thank you very much. Let's hear the president, what the president had to say, and let's begin to interrogate that. Let's hear the president.
And so the minister made the request and cabinet approved it. The Minister of Finance came to the assistance of the Ministry of Energy, and I've acquired a lot of transformers for installation nationwide, currently 2,500 transformers. And so we're going to see stable power after this first phase. And like he said, after that, constantly we'll keep taking out the old transformers so that Ghana can have stable power. And so, like he said, I'll appeal to our people. The outages you are facing are not Dumsor. It is to enable you get better quality and stable power. But like he said, anytime they are going to replace transformers, to inform the people in the area so that they are aware that their lights are going to be put off for a while until the transformers are installed. One of the things that I'm happy about is a lot of these transformers are produced locally in Ghana. They are made in Ghana transformers. And so it also helps to multiply the benefits that our country is making. I'm looking to the day where all our transformers will be produced locally, and we'll be able to stabilize the power situation in our country. So well done, NEDCO.
Right. So is that really the case? You are changing transformers all over the country?
Samson, good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Sorry, I wanted to hear this one too. I wanted you to hear this.
That's fine. That's okay.
Ongoing power outages are seriously affecting us. My fridge has stopped working and I've lost cartons of fish because they've all gone bad.
Over the weekend, we were without power from Saturday night till Sunday morning, and even after it returned, it went off again until later in the day. Today too, it has gone off about 4 times already. Because of this, I am losing customers.
3 days since Saturday, the power situation has been very uncomfortable for us. From this morning when I came to work, I haven't been able to sit comfortably because the heat in my shop. Without electricity, the place is too hot. It's making it difficult to work.
Right. And these concerns are across, especially in Kumasi. What's going on?
Once again, let me say good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to my senior, Martin. And good afternoon to you, Doc. Before I come to your question, I'll just take a few minutes to discuss where we took the power sector when we came into government. In 2024, there's not a single month in 2024 that there was no load shedding. In fact, at the peak of it was December 2024, we're shedding load of about 700 megawatts.
Yeah, I remember we were calling for a timetable and we heard some comments.
Yes, when we were told by the then minister that we should prepare our own timetable. And that was a generation issue. And then when we took off, even before the president was sworn in, if you recall, during the transition period, there was no fuel. The president had to set up a committee chaired by the chief of staff. And then
the minister actually scared us.
That was the fact, that there was no fuel. It was about just 2 days. So they didn't have liquid fuel to power our plants. The sector was highly indebted. ECG alone had liabilities of over 80 billion cedis. We had a lot of these thermal plants that had been off. And so we had to take a comprehensive look at the power sector when we took office. The first thing we did was to address the fuel challenge. As we speak, we don't have any challenge when it comes to fuels to produce power. When it comes to liquid fuels, we have enough in stock, which we rely on. When it comes to natural gas, we've increased capacity. ENI has moved from 240 million standard cubic feet to 280 million. Jubilee partners have moved from about 80, 90 million to 130 million. We've had increase from Nigeria.
Great statistics.
These are real issues. Those are not just statistics. We've had the IPPs who were threatening every month that we should pay them. I'm not sure you've heard the IPPs mention in a very long time that government is indebted to them because we are current with them. We renegotiated with the IPP, saved over $250 million. We renegotiated tariffs with them, so there's been reduction when it comes to that. ECG, we had to take a number of reforms there, including the strict implementation of the cash waterfall mechanism. ECG had about 100 bank accounts when we came into office. Now they have only one account, so it's easy to be able to monitor. The revenues have gone up. If you look at the same IPPs who were threatening, now they've even come that they want to support government in power generation. And so generally, we've seen significant improvement when it comes to the power sector. I must say that power generation has been fairly good when it comes to our system. In the power sector, you have the transmission, you have generation, transmission, and distribution. I've dealt with the issues with generation, transmission. We've done a lot of work there as a government. The major challenge has to do with the Eastern Corridor. The Eastern Corridor, you deal with Volta, part of OT. So largely the Volta region and then OT regions will have some low currents, but we are addressing that. What the problem is which is causing the current outages, will be the distribution side. The distribution side, of course, once you generate, you have to transmit. The power is evacuated, and then it gets to ECG and NEDCO, and then it comes to our homes and offices. Over the years, the investment that needed to be done was not done. And so most of these issues, as a result of obsolete equipment, when you say obsolete equipment, we are using very old machines, very old transformers, very old conductors, and you're still using that to operate the distribution system as we speak. For a number of areas, they've grown way beyond what the demand is, but you still have these same systems there. Once you have a transformer that does not have the capacity to be able to serve the demand, the transformers will trip. And Doc is an electrical engineer, he will tell you. Once it trips, you are going to experience outages. Unfortunately, this is practically across a lot of areas. If you take Greater Accra, for example, if you take an area like Chado or even the Oyarifa areas, those areas 10 years ago were not as they are today. 10 years ago, if you go to Chad, it was a waterlogged area. Also, His Excellency the President did the construction of the Mahama Road at the time, which increased a lot of people going there. Today, if you go there, you see a lot of apartments, you see commercial buildings, right. You see homes, which means that the demand has gone up. You need to inject resources, you need to inject materials, improve on the infrastructure to be able to keep up with the pace of the demand. If you take Lashibi, for example, Lashibi's power transformer was installed 23 years ago. 23 years ago, what was the status of Lashibi or something? 23 years after, you've had the population triple, and then you are still using the same systems. 10 years ago, as a country, our peak demand was around 2,000 megawatts. Now our peak demand is 4,400 megawatts, but it's still the same infrastructure. And so the ministry did a comprehensive review of the entire distribution system. We recognized that some pockets of isolated cases in some areas have this severe issue, and we are addressing it. We are installing over 3,000 transformers across the country.
3,000?
3,000.
So all these transformers are being brought into the country under this regime.
Under this regime.
Not that they were on the ship, but you came to meet them.
No, Samson. That's the funny thing. The previous administration, you know this container issue where we had over 2,600 container streets? Not a single transformer was in any of them. Not one. They were just cables, materials that were not needed by ECG. And that's why I said that a lot of it will be poor planning, misplaced priorities, and then lack of strategic direction. And so under this administration, all this investment that we are doing is by the help of His Excellency the President.
See, personal, I'm beginning to appreciate a problem in my area.
Yeah.
It's got to do with a transformer. And I think it is what you're talking about. It trips.
Yes. That's it. Once it trips.
But because ours is not as critical, I don't see Dansuman in the list.
Yes, no. Sometimes we've done the analysis. A lot of areas are there. Once you have transformer overload, for some areas it's that bad. And when it gets to peak time in Ghana will be between around 6, 7 p.m. to around 11, where everybody gets home.
Right.
Once the demand increases, it will put a lot of pressure on the system and it will trip. If it trips, of course, it will take some time to be able to bring it back. Sometimes it even leads to the transformers blowing.
Yes.
And you have fuse.
Yes.
So you have to move in there to deal with that challenge. And so that is what we are doing now as a government. Last week, we're in the north with His Excellency the President, where he went to inspect the transformers that had been given to NEDCO by the ministry. We are doing about 500 in the north alone. We are moving from middle belt to upper to the northern side. This week alone, we've done about 30 installations in Tamale alone for transformers. Greater Accra, we are doing the major ones. We've done parts of Adenta, we've done Achimota. In fact, if you speak to residents of Achimota, before this program, they were complaining about 4-6 weeks ago. After we did it,
some people are really suffering, and I mentioned to you in Kumasi too.
Yes, in fact, Kumasi has a peculiar challenge. I'll discuss the issue.
And unfortunately,
you have very limited time.
You are almost taking all the time. So give us the next 2 minutes so I can get some quick comments.
Yes, and so largely that has been the issue that we are dealing with. And so we'll plead with the people of Ghana. that they should bear with us. There are people who are saying that the government is only finding an excuse and that we should provide a load shedding timetable. You have planned maintenance and you have unplanned maintenance. Okay. Planned maintenance, you'll be able to provide a schedule because you know that at this day or on this day, this time, you need 4 hours. Right. When it comes to transformer trips, then it will be difficult to tell that at 12:01 the transformer will trip. Once the demand comes on, there's a lot of pressure, it trips. And so those ones, you can't provide a timetable for that. What you do is that you can only manage the situation. And that's why we've increased the maintenance team so that we'll be able to respond swiftly when these issues.
You're looking to complete all of this within what period?
It's a crash program. For all these investment we are doing, we've given ourselves maximum 3 months.
3 months?
In our country.
So people should bear at least for the next 3 months?
Yes, what we are doing is because we are doing it in phases. It's not that it will take you 3 months for that to be done. We've done Achimota.
Right.
We've done Lashibi. So those people don't have that issue today. We've done Maejo. On Monday, we are moving to Teshinungwa. And so once we deal with that challenge, that issue will not be there. So
remember, we are not talking only Accra, the whole nation.
Yes, the whole nation. In fact, so we have multiple teams. Kumasi the same, like I mentioned. Tamale this week, we've done Bole as well. And so we'll plead with the people of Ghana to bear with us as we go through this process. But let me take just 30 seconds to address. Last night, we had wide outage across the country. And it's because we have a peculiar issue. As we speak, we are not getting a single megawatt of power from Akosombo. In fact, at a point in our history, the entire country depended on only Akosombo. And so you can imagine the extent of damage if you have Akosombo being out. It's about 1,000 megawatts. This is because the Akosombo substation caught fire. Went there yesterday. The Minister, Honorable Dr. Jinapo, went to inspect and get first-hand briefing with the sector CEOs. Right. And it's devastating, very, very devastating. So the engineers are working around the clock. Right. Assure that within 24 hours, you'll be able to start the first unit.
Thank you. Thank you. Richmond Roxon speaks for the Energy Ministry, and the show is brought to you by the candid sponsorship of Gold Board Jewelry, pure, precious, proudly Ghanaian. Melcom, your #1 shopping destination. Waylead, your trusted home builder. Bethel Dental, the smile starts here. St. Thomas Eye Hospital, providing excellence in healthcare. And Curl Charcoal Toothpaste, happy smile. Charles, what can you say in a minute? Are you trusting his word, just like the president?
Samson, cumulatively, we've been paying, I think the electricity has increased by about 22% cumulatively since President Mahama and the NDC took over the reins of government. My constituency, Birim, since day one, we've been faced with Dumsor, almost every day the light goes off. Almost every day the light goes off. And I know that those of you in Accra are also facing similar situations. So for government to tell us that they are just changing outdated transformers and then they are going to replace them with new ones, that's what the consumers want. Is to give us a clear timetable. If it's Dumsor, if it's Dumsor, just give us a clear timetable that we know that today we're working on the transformer in Ibrim, and that that is going to take 2 days. And so we should, just be prepared so that we know.
I think for that one, they are doing that. Yes, I think for that specific one, they are doing the areas that are affected for a period.
Something nobody is done.
No, we are not changing transformer.
The fact that, and again, the point that he raises, that they came to meet debt and not. We all come to meet debt. You meet assets and liabilities. Yeah. Dumsor was coined during the era of President Mahama.
Right.
Dumsor. So it was coined during the era of. So NPP came, we met debt, we cleared over 1.4 billion. Every government will come and then you meet. But then it's up to you to structure the energy sector such that individuals or consumers who have access to electricity.
All right.
They also operate cold stores. Something, speak to them. They'll tell you what they are going through.
We spoke to some of them. Their frustrations, very, very frustrated.
You import meat, fish,
like I said, we ran out of time. We ran out of time, and it was 1 minute I was giving you. In the 2 minutes, I think you have expressed your view. Yes, quickly in a minute.
Well, for me, again, this is my area. I would say I'll leave the politicians to do their Dumsor, their load shedding and things. And
we should wait after the 3 months.
So again, the 3 months would pass very soon. You know, and the issues also about our distribution system, predates. It's been something that has been coming. When we say investments have not gone there, it's something that is being, and it's a truth. There are other challenges that we need to deal with, and I completely also agree with the recent one, the fact that you have this plan, transformer changing, and then you then hit with the
fire.
Then it exacerbates the situation. I'm just saying to my colleague engineers who are working in here that there are issues. So if we deal with even the issues of transformers, let's go and deal with the issues of the meters. Let's make sure that we don't have multiple meters in the systems. Let's make sure that the issues of the quality of the cables, let's deal with our technical losses. Let's deal with our commercial losses as well. So that we can improve power supplies, because that's all we want.
Thank you. Yes, Martin. Have you had lights out at your area?
Oh, yes. Yes.
I have been lucky. I haven't suffered it.
Yes. I've been lucky. In fact, when I came, I asked all of them. And then he also mentioned that.
But I know people who have suffered terrible. And particularly when the kids are sweating and you can't do anything, it can be very devastating.
Yes. So that's it. So, I mean, what I would say is that once it looks like this is not deliberate, it's not self-inflicted, but we can say an act of God with the fire, I'll be patient. So I'll be patient. I just hope that everything will normalize soon. Of course, I'm aware that thousands and millions of our citizens are not having it easy at all. There are mockeries here and there that this is the return of Dumsor, etc. So let's look. And most especially, my strongest point on this is that, look, elsewhere in the world, there is a move to renewables. Okay, let's see. I keep saying that the ministry needs to engage Ghanaians on renewables. Okay, you go to the UK and they tell that they are leading.
They have a plan. I had the opportunity to read it. Matthew Poku Prempe led that process and they put it together. I'm sorry, but time.
I have a position on this.
Our time is up, and our guests have been Richmond Roxon, who is lawyer and spokesperson and director of the communications at the Ministry of Energy and Green Transition. Charles Esiako Oredu is MP Ebirim and former High Commissioner of Ghana to South Africa. Thank you very much, Charles, for your insights this morning on the show. Dr. Ken Ashigbe, convener of the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey. Martin Pebu is doing the street thing that you know him to do, representing community members who are aggrieved about the Bogoso Prestea mining situation. Ama Mausi Mawenya Fia also joined us. Kwame Akufo, Kwame Boafo Akufo of Ekropong Ekwapim also joined us, and Daryl Bosu, Benjamin Kofi Kwashi, the High Commissioner in South Africa, also joined us earlier. Thank you all very much. Tomorrow at 2 p.m. join me on my favorite show, The Law. I'm hosting Nick Opoku. He's lawyer and policy consultant. He's not based in the country, but he's been writing profusely about cocoa. And he makes the argument that the cocoa laws, quote unquote, are unjust and unconstitutional. They need to be a liberalization stage. Let's see how that interview will go tomorrow. Join me. Thank you very much. We'll be see you next week.